Hey, Zach Crawford here, and in this video we're going to be talking about why you can't make money online with affiliate marketing. Now, you're probably thinking, who the hell are you to tell me I can't make money with affiliate marketing, Zach? And what I want to do is I want to actually share with you a webinar, and just calm down. When I say webinar, this doesn't mean something to sell you anything. Actually, there's nothing to sell in this video. This is actually a webinar that I do for my paid members. And what I want to do is I want to share this with you along with this series I'm doing on how to start your first affiliate marketing business. And the reason I'm giving you this for free, it's over a 2-hour presentation of literally just giving the farm away. Like, I'm showing you how I created a 7-figure affiliate marketing business and why I'm giving this to you, why I'm sharing this video with you. And I'm going to roll over to the footage here in a minute, is because most people actually never make money with affiliate marketing at all. It's a sad reality is most people don't make money, but it's not because affiliate marketing doesn't work. It's not because affiliate marketing is a scam. It's not because the products that are being sold out there are scams. It's because people don't have a plan. They don't have focus. One of the biggest things I constantly, share on social media is focus on your focus. Most people have zero focus, and that's just why they never make any money at all. So what I want to do is I want to share with you how to create a plan for your business, how to actually create an action plan to accelerate your affiliate marketing business and actually make money with it. And that is the key. Having focus, having a plan that you execute on every day, and eliminating all the distractions, eliminating all the courses you could buy, eliminating all the different things that could take your attention, and focus on building your business. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share that with you in this video. Now, before I actually move forward, what I want to do is I want to tell you, if you're new to the channel, to go below, hit that subscribe button, make sure you smash that notification bell so you get notified when I drop new videos, and finally comment below and let me know what value you got from this video. Let me know what your biggest insights are. And the reason I want you to comment is because every single day I'm giving away one of my $1,000 courses I literally charge for. This is not something I just whip together. It's one of the courses I put, literally 100 hours into creating, and I give one of those away every single day for the best comment below. Now, with that being said, if you have any questions on this presentation, something doesn't make sense, just let me know. And then finally, if you want to know more about how I do all this, you want to know more step by step, inside of the description I have a free training, but make sure you watch this training first, because honestly, this is something that my paid members got. It's not something that's just some video I whipped together. It's stuff that will actually help you, and I truly believe it will change your life if you apply it. So with any webinar, and this one's not going to be a sales webinar as we talked about, if you don't pay attention, if right now, if you're watching this on your desktop and at the same time you have your cell phone and you're scrolling through your Instagram feed, what's going to happen is you're going to look like confused Zach over here. And this is really cool. I see Ava's on here, and Ava created this really cool GIF image, which I love. And that's what you're going to be. You're going to be confused Zach, or confused Jimbo, or confused Supra. And at the end of the day, if you're just listening and you're not actively participating, you're not getting engaged, you're not commenting, you're not bringing up the energy. Like, I'm bringing the energy. I want you to bring the energy. Right now, you should be fired up knowing that this year, if you keep your shit in order, life can change. So don't do what most people do where they're multitasking, because multitasking is for the broke. So with that being said, here's the thing. This is why you've probably failed in the past. This is why I failed in the past. And it wasn't until I started really learning this from my mentor, Kieran, that following a plan is why most people never get results. Following a strategy is the difference between successful people and the ones that aren't. And what happens is most people, they think they got it answered, right? They're following a plan. And the plan is like this diagram here where you can see it's above the iceberg. And this is what happens when you try to reverse engineer someone and you think you know what they're doing. You can see, okay, they post to YouTube, they do some webinars, and maybe they do live streams. So you think, okay, I'm going to copy that. But you don't really realize they have a strategic process of how they guide people to their offers. Example, how I even told you about how on the daily live streams on the Psychologically Unemployable group, you may not realize, and I'm going to point this out to you right now, and you can look at this as it's evil, or you can learn how to do this in your own business. So every single day, I'm using what's called seeds of doubt. And if you listen to me preach against the laptop lifestyle retards, all the people trying to sell Bitcoin, Shopify, every opportunity out there, what I'm essentially doing is planting the seed in your head every single day that if you follow these type of people, they're going to keep you broke. So what does that do? If I keep saying that over and over, you start to adapt that mindset yourself, and then it comes to the conclusion that I have to give Zach money if I want to be successful. This is what you need to do in your own business. You can look at it as evil, or you can look at business as what business is. Business is competition, and your goal is to put people out of business. That may sound harsh, but it's true. Trust me, the other person is trying to take your cupcake, and if you don't take theirs, they're definitely going to take yours. So if you want to help people, you got to get them to buy something. Do you get that? Give me a yes. If you want to help somebody, you have to accept that you are a salesman or a saleswoman, because I know we got ladies on here. You have to embrace it. You have to love it. You have to become obsessed with getting good at sales. Because if you want to help someone, they must make a purchase first. You can't help somebody for free. You know why? People don't take free seriously. If that was the case, everybody would be making a ton of money from listening to my live streams. Free sounds good. It feels good. But until you put your money on the table where you have something to lose and there's risk, you will not take it seriously. So if you want to help people, and that's really your mission, it's not just to get rich yourself, you got to sell them something. Now, to go back to the plan or strategy, right? Everything I do has a strategy. Before, it was really just a plan. I'll be honest, I got to probably $500,000 with like a plan. Now, I'm telling you right now, if I would have had a strategy from day one, I would have did way better. So what I used to do, I would just like watch what people do and say, well, this makes sense. I'm going to do that. And it would work to a degree. But then what would happen is, like, after a while, I would feel overwhelmed. Do you know, after I made $500,000 in a year, at the end of the year, I felt like a failure because I was like so confused about what I should do next. I used to think that, like, man, I need somebody like to give me the secret. See, what's about to happen is in probably the next 90 days, I'm about to drop $25,000 to get coaching from Alex Becker. I'm not sure if you guys know who he is. For some of you, he might not be your cup of tea because he says like cuss words probably more than anybody I've met in my life. He calls you a loser and everything else. Now, with that being said, he's one smart dude. He knows what he's doing. He's one of the best webinar pitchers outside of Russell Brunson. And then later this year, I'm also planning on joining Russell Brunson's mastermind, which I believe there's a waiting list, and that's one of the reasons I'm going with Alex Becker first. So the difference is, the reason I'm going with Alex, for example, right? I want to master YouTube this year, and I want to master both YouTube paid ads, free, and I also want to master Facebook ads. Well, the guy's scaled his business to well over $1 million a month with paid advertising rather quick. So for me, it makes sense that I go to him first because Russell Brunson doesn't really know paid traffic. He outsources all that. And so for me, when I join Russell Brunson's mastermind, it's really just to get around other high-level thinkers. I want to be sitting in a room and I feel like I'm broke and I have no money because everybody else is making more money than me. But outside of that, I want to learn Alex's strategy because it's one thing to watch like, okay, how he's doing things, but it's a totally another aspect to understand the full strategy of how he systematizes everything. So at the end of the day, if you're following a plan where you're just trying to copy people and you have no plan of what you're executing on, there's going to be two problems. One, you're not going to believe in what you're doing because you're unsure if it's going to work. And the second thing is you could be marching in a wrong direction for quite a while, hoping something's going to work. So what we're going to do in this webinar, or this live stream, I guess, because it's technically not a webinar, we are going to map out a strategy. And so a strategy is going to be different for every single person's business. You know, for some people, if you're in the fitness niche like John, your strategy is going to be a little bit different than somebody that's in the make money niche. We have some life coaches in here. We have several different people. So I'm going to help you map out a strategy for your business. Now, this is something that I learned from Kieran. I loved it. I've been using it like over and over in almost every webinar I do for the most part. And it's Maslow's 4 stages of learning. And so if you listen to anything I say, I don't believe in fast money. This is why I don't like Bitcoin. This is why I'm not investing in Bitcoin. Maybe later at some point when somebody can prove to me that it's stable and it's not just the things that the gurus are pushing, telling me I need to buy it, I might be interested. But for me, things that take longer to make money are always more profitable. Always. When you can make money really quick, it's usually just a quick hit and you're just hoping something's going to work, but it's not necessarily guaranteed. It's not something that's going to be long-term. So for me, I focus on long-term. So this is why you always hear me talking about consistency, because if you want to get to mastery level, it's about consistency. Tony Robbins will tell you this over and over. So stage number 1 is unaware, or as what's referred to as unconscious incompetence. This is basically you don't know that you don't know how to do something. So this is an example like you come into, I don't know, the make money online world and you want to try to make money online, but you don't really understand the skill sets or you're not even aware of what you should be learning. You're just trying to figure out like, man, all these people are making so much money. Like, where do I start? So you're not even upset that you don't know how to do traffic, or you're not upset that you don't know how to build a funnel because you don't even know what that stuff is. Stage 2 is awareness. That's conscious incompetence. So that's, you know that you don't know how to do something and it bothers you. So this is the point when like you start figuring out like, hey, all these gurus, man, They all got email lists and sales funnels, but I don't know how to do this stuff. This is confusing. So this is when you start to get awareness, right? You get out of that opportunity seeker mindset, so to speak, and you're starting to get a little bothered that you don't know how to do these skills, and you start to say, okay, it's time to learn it. Stage number 3 is it takes effort. And if you don't know why I'm teaching you this, is because what's going to happen with most people, and I really just hope it's not many of you in this group, but the reality is it probably will be. I'm not trying to put you down, but most people get really excited at the beginning of the year, and then within like 30 days to 60 days, they give up. I don't want you to do that. Stage 3 is it takes effort, conscious competence. So this is like more like you know how to do something and it takes effort. This is you, Doug. This is you, buddy. You're like, all right, so I get it now. I gotta try way harder at this. I gotta focus on getting better, making my message better, making my time that people watch the video better, figuring out how I'm gonna guide them into my funnel better. This is stage 3. You realize, okay, if I really want to get to the top, if I really want to make the big money, I'm gonna have to really apply a lot of effort here. Stage 4, this is what I would say without being arrogant, right? I think I'm at stage 4 when it comes to video. If you guys see me, I'll be on a live stream like, hey, and I'm like, whoa, did you guys hear that? Like, can you believe that I just made that weird noise? Like, it's crazy, right? I can make fun of myself and it doesn't bother me. It doesn't faze me. I could be on stage and mess up and I'll figure out how to make fun of myself so people get an entertainment out of it and then turn it around and make it a strength. So this is unconscious competence. This is that you know how to do something and it's second nature. You don't even think about it. You just do it. Like I was talking to 𝐤𝐤𝐸𝐿𝐧 the other day and it was like 2 minutes before I was supposed to go live and he's like, hey dude, you know your live is soon, right? Don't you need to prepare? I'm like, no, bro. As soon as I hit the green light, game on. Like I just flip a switch. Like there's some days that I get on the live streams and I'll be honest, I have like a migraine. I maybe slept 2 hours and I don't feel good, but you would never know it. You see me bringing the energy. So here's an example. If you guys watch my rant the other day, one of my classic Zach rants on the PU group, and I was just on a roll, right? Well, I had a really bad headache because I only slept like 2 hours. So the easiest way for you to never know that I had a headache is just to bring a ton of energy and use that frustration of that headache as fuel to like make an awesome live stream. So this is when you get to stage 4, like things don't affect you. You could get punched in the face and you just get right back up and nobody knows the difference. This takes effort. It takes time. If you realize how many, like Ava's on here, Ava, verify how sucky my first videos were. Like when I first started doing videos in the Philippines, it took me 30 days to even do the first one. I got drunk. In fact, I even made her leave and like go hang out with other people to get away from me so I could try to do videos, and it still didn't work. So in the beginning, I was probably just like some of you. Some of this stuff terrified me. My first webinar, I did a webinar and I didn't even know how to do a webinar. I did a webinar because my coach, Kirian, threatened me that I have a week in order to do a webinar. We don't work together anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't know how to do that. He goes, figure it out. This is why I tell you all the time. It's not your coach's responsibility to make you successful. It's your responsibility. Most people play the blame game. He made me do a webinar. He didn't even give me a topic to do a webinar on, nor tell me how you hook up a webinar. I had to go figure out how to use Google Hangouts, and I'm not really a technical person at all. And I did the webinar, and all I did was I told about what I knew about YouTube. And I said, all right, guys, thanks for coming. I'll see you later. And people had to stop me to ask what I had for sale because I had no clue how to pitch. And at that point, I felt like pitching was something that evil people do. And I made sales. I don't know how the heck it happened, but I did. And so you got to realize that if you want to be able to make it rain, if you want to be a rainmaker where you just snap your fingers and money falls out of the sky, it can happen, but not how the gurus teach you. You gotta stay consistent. You got to do this stuff day in and day out, and you got to focus on it. Selling is a skill. It's a skill that I've developed over the last 5 years. Now, with that being said, I was not very consistent for the first several years I dabbled. If I was consistent, I honestly probably could have did 10 times better in 1 year, but I wasn't. I was the opportunity seeker I speak out against. So what I'm trying to do is break you of the bad habits that I did so you get results 10 times faster. So I want to really clarify what a strategy is because, there's a big difference between strategies and plans we talked about. So the definition of a strategy is just a specific way of organizing your resources in order to consistently produce a specific result. So an example of that for me would be like a webinar. I know every time I do a webinar, I'm making money. I don't go onto a webinar hoping it'll work. Obviously my dad's not around here, so he can't verify that. But between him and Ava, I usually tell them a figure about, okay, when I do this, I'm going to do this. Like I'll throw together just a number out of the sky. Like, hey, I'm gonna launch this offer. We're gonna make 10,000 in a day. I just know what I can do because I've done it so many times. That is the definition of a strategy. Once you know what to do, you can consistently produce the same type of result over and over again. So it's basically the whole reason to figure something out is so you have the ability to do it as much as you want, as often as you want, and to get a specific result every single time. So there's different types of strategies, and let's see if you agree with this. Don't you think there's a strategy to create money? There's a strategy that most people have to create money. There's also a strategy people follow to be broke. You may not think that, but people that are horrible with money, their strategy is just the wrong way. They spend their money on everything that they don't need. However, people that are wealthy, they invest their money. They save their money. There's a reason I haven't bought a Lambo or stuff like that yet. Most of the people that they say they made 7 figures and they bought all these supercars, they are literally one step away from being bankrupt. If you know anything about money, taxes, expenses, everything, you know that logic tells you if you made $1 million and you bought a $250,000 car and you bought a $500,000 home and you literally travel the world 24/7, there's not much money left in the bank. I also believe there's strategies like in your relationships. There's a strategy you can follow that gives you a really crappy relationship with your spouse, and there's strategies that you can use to get a good relationship. Same thing at the gym. There's strategies you follow that you can go to the gym and get in really great shape, and there's strategies for the people that go to the gym 365 days a year and their body never changes. I'm not trying to get down on anybody, but example, there's a guy at my gym that he's been going as long as me, and he hasn't lost a single pound. He just sits in there. He's like, "Urgh, urgh." He's always pushing the big weight, but it's obvious when he leaves, he stops at McDonald's for lunch. It doesn't work that way. So there's good and bad strategies. That's what you have to realize. This is why you want to make sure you follow the right people, because if you follow the wrong strategy, it can take you in the wrong direction. There's a lot of people that they may look like they have their stuff together in one area, but they're totally off in another. So this is just something to think about. Now, once you know a strategy, you can do it effortlessly without thinking. So this is like stage 4 we talked about, right? Any result that you've ever produced is a result more than once. You have a strategy for it, even if it's unconsciously. Once you learn the strategy, you can duplicate it over and over again. This is why consistency is so important. So once you learn a basic skill set, it's not a ton of more work in order to keep doing it. You know how to do it, and then you can learn other stuff. So basically, once you train your brain, it will go to work to do the thing, or basically the habit you want to do without thinking. So this is why if you guys hear me preaching so much about habits and consistency, which most people don't talk about, it's the unsexy stuff you do every single day that leads to the success, which most people don't talk about. If I'm completely honest with you, my life is pretty boring, but I'm completely happy with that because my business is growing. It gives me opportunities to do what I want to do. And the things that you do every single day, that's what's going to get you to where you want to be. In this social media age we live in, everybody's watching what people are doing on Instagram and how cool their life is. But I want to point out something. Do you know how easy it is to make your life look awesome on social media? You could literally have a fight with your spouse, but 2 minutes prior to that, you could take a picture of you and the family with everybody smiling. You wouldn't know the difference, would you? You can take a picture at all the cool places you go to, and you think that the person's life is amazing, but in reality, they're miserable. So this is why you got to focus on your lane, staying in your lane, creating your successful habits, because when you're using comparatitis and following what everybody else does, you feel bad about your own lack of results. So with that being said, we want to learn a strategy so that way we can do this consistently, because once you create strategies in your business, you're not going to feel overwhelmed. You're not going to feel frustrated. You're not going to feel stressed out. It's just something you do every single day. So I like to basically compare a strategy to baking a cake. And when you bake a cake, you need 3 things: a list of ingredients, the tools and equipment, and a step-by-step instruction. So, example, tools and equipment could be ClickFunnels and your autoresponder and Facebook or something. And then basically your list of ingredients is, of course, the stuff that you put into the cake in order to do it. That's the strategy we talked about. You don't really know how they guide everybody. And then step-by-step instructions is exactly how they do it in what order. Now, here's how you bake a cake. You have specific stuff, right? So something that I learned from Kieran, and this is when I started to really learn when I reverse engineer people, I got to look at it at a deeper level, right? So he broke down to me one time that baking a cake it seems self-explanatory by just looking at it. But example, like here we have Hershey's chocolate, right? But if we went and bought like the generic chocolate at our local grocery store, that same cake that we bake could be a little bit different, right? This is why you want to make sure that every single thing that you do is very, very strategic. It's very strategic. You do it every single day. Now, before we start jumping in all the plan stuff, I want to reiterate again how to avoid getting off track this year, how to make sure that this year is awesome for you. Now, give me a yes, and I'm pretty sure every single person on here is going to say yes. Last year, did you get off track for one of these things, like the new product launch, a new push button system, some new opportunity that people said is hot right now, like Bitcoin? This is the kind of stuff that basically, people, they struggle for years. They read everybody's emails, they follow everybody on social media, they consistently go down this path over and over and over and over again, and so they never get to where they want to be because they're constantly following. So this year, if you want to change that, you got to shut everybody out. Literally, you got to shut everybody out. And so that means the only thing that matters is your business. Do you get that? My business doesn't matter, even though I'm going to show you the stuff I'm doing. Grant Cardone's business doesn't matter. Gary V's business doesn't matter. Russell Brunson's business doesn't matter. You look at people to learn from them, but you don't idolize them and you don't buy everything they sell to you unless it aligns with your business. I'm a serial buyer, guys. I buy stuff every single month, but the difference is I buy strategically. Like, I'm not going to buy something that doesn't align with my business model. Like right now, I would not buy anything on Bitcoin because I have no desire to do it. I wouldn't buy anything on Shopify or Amazon because I'm not an e-commerce person and I have no desire to do it. So the only things that I buy are aligned with what I'm doing. Maybe a course on to get better at webinars, maybe copywriting, something like, with the traffic method that I want to get better at. But I don't go for whatever somebody tells me is hot. This is how you get control of your life, is you stop buying things because somebody tells you that it's going to be the game changer. And that line has been used so many times in this industry, it's just sickening. There's really nothing that I believe is the game changer except for you. You are the game changer. And when you decide to basically, be the game changer, that's when everything's going to change for you. Now, I want to show you how simple my stuff is. And what's funny is, if you think that you really need this complicated stuff, I promise you that you do not. This is the same sales funnel I've been using for years, and now it's just a little bit more advanced. I'm going to show you the new ways I'm doing things, next week when I map out my business. But it's been the same thing for years, and I've not changed it. And the reason being is I'm not a technical guy. Now, with that being said, I built all these sales funnels myself in ClickFunnels. Ava did the graphics because she's obviously 100 million times better at graphics than I am. But I had to learn how to use ClickFunnels. And it's something that, I'm glad I know how to do now because now I can build it fast. But outside of that, I'm horrible at tech. Like for instance, when I go to ask her to do something and she starts talking all her tech whiz stuff and hey, that you use this short key and that short key. I'm like, whoa, slow it up. Like this morning I had to have her help me on one of our calls on how to fix Photoshop. And she goes a mile a minute on all the short keys and my head's about to blow up. So understand, I really am not a technical person. I don't like technical stuff. Anytime my coaching students ask about tech stuff, I'm like, hey man, you gotta refer to the help section. I'm not gonna be of help for you. Russell Brunson, which is somebody I admire, right? Russell literally builds funnels the same way I build funnels. He even tells you, he laughs when he sees these funnels where it's if the person says doesn't open the email here, then they get another email going out here, and if they say yes to this one, they get that one. That just makes my mind blow up. My funnels are very, very, very simple. We have traffic. Pick your poison. You want to do Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, paid ads, free traffic. It all works, right? And then I have two types of ways to bring people into my world. It's either my blog. So the blog is very strategic. You're not going to see me blogging like a madman this year. I used to do that. I'm not going to be doing that now. Everything is going to be a strategic blog post to lead in to one of my funnels. So one of the things I explained to one of my coaching students is that every piece of content I create is only created to lead into one of my funnels. And if it doesn't do that, then there's no piece of content. The other thing is to post my YouTube videos on there. But outside of that, it all has a purpose. Secondly is either a squeeze page. So that's your one-page website where you collect the email, or a webinar. And that's my business. And the difference to what I do that you probably don't see many people doing is when you opt in, I don't try to hit you with a one-time offer and pretend like you're stupid that you'll never see this again. And I take you to a thank you page where it's me. Hey, Zach Crawford here, and I want to just invite you to my Facebook group where, it all goes down, all the cool people hang out. I do live streams daily. Click below. Like it's a total pattern interrupt because everybody is used to the moment you opt in, they're trying to sell you stuff. The reason I don't do this, I always use this extreme example, and I'm sure the ladies can resonate with this just like the guys can. It's like if you go to a party and you go straight up to the girl and you ask her to go home with you and she doesn't even know your name. That is what I compare the one-time offer stuff that people do as soon as you opt in. It works. I just don't agree with it. For me, I believe in building a relationship with people first, letting them warm up to me, and then when the right time is right, then I sell them. So the basic analogy is the thank you page, value lesson 1, value lesson 2, value lesson 3, make offer. Now, with some of my new funnels you will see that I link out to the sales page pretty much on each day. But the difference is I'm like giving a bunch of value up front, explaining how the business works, drawing on my iPad like I do in the Facebook group, and then they have the choice if they want to click the button. I'm not like how hardcore pitching them. And then daily emails on broadcast. And that's pretty much it. And so if you don't understand what a broadcast email is compared to like a follow-up email, an email follow-up is like when you opt in and then it automatically goes out. Email 1, and then email 2 on day 2, email 3 on day 3, email 4 on day 4, and it goes out automatically. But then a broadcast email is like I could write it, today, and I could like send it out right now, or I could even schedule it for tomorrow. But it's not staying in my follow-up, and not everybody's going to get it. Only people that are already on my list. And this is where a lot of people get like email marketing wrong, is somebody goes through like their 4 to, let's say 10-day follow-up, and then from there, they don't email ever again. And most people do not buy right away. A very, very small fraction of people, if you've ever heard me say, I focus on the 95%. The 95% are not ready to buy yet. They are interested, but they're not ready to buy yet. The 5% are the ones that are ready to buy like today. And that's where most marketers are competing. And if you're not an amazing marketer, you're probably going to go broke really quick. It's going to be tough. However, when you focus on the 95% and you're constantly delivering value, you're staying top of mind, when it's the right time, it becomes the right time for someone to buy on your list every single day. And this is what I've been doing for years. It's massively profitable. This is what 𝐤𝐻𝐽 does. He's got about 2,000, a little over 2,000 people on his list now. He just posted in the group about how his one video did 350,000 or whatever he posted in the last couple of years. This is the exact same thing. So it works. And I'm going to teach you how to do this stuff. So we are going to have, just so you know, some webinars heavily on email because it's like the key to everything. Another thing I'm going to be implementing is Facebook Messenger bots. So I'm going to be moving some of my email list to Facebook Messenger bots. So I'm going to teach you all this stuff. And I understand a lot of people are still confused, especially on the broadcast side of things. So I'm going to teach you how I write emails and how I build relationships and how I get people to buy and not hate me after they do buy. All this stuff is very, very important. Now, this is the key. This is the money maker right here, right? And this is where most people don't spend their time, and it's focusing on IPA'S. IPA'S stand for income producing activities. Most people just focus on busy activities, things that feel good, things that are fun, things that don't put money in your bank account. So you must eliminate busy work and focus your time on income producing activities. Literally, you have to. If you don't focus on income producing activities, like it's going to cost you time, frustration, and lots of money. Now, you need to focus on 3 key things. This is all that matters in your business. So I want to pre-frame something really quick. If you right now are not at least at $10,000 a month, your sole goal is to make a ton of money. Like, I'm all about giving value, but the faster you get to where you're profitable, the more enjoyable the business is going to be. Now, I want you to, of course, follow the value concepts, but understand you have to become a salesman or saleswoman this very moment. That is your goal, to sell people stuff. It feels good. Trust me, when it hits your bank account, it feels good, especially when you know that you're leading people to stuff that will help them. So the only thing that matters for you is generating traffic. So that's getting people to your website, whether that's a blog or that's a squeeze page or a webinar. Generating leads. So any task that's focused on generating leads. and getting conversions, meaning getting people to pay you. So I want to clarify really quick. Some income producing activities are going to be indirect income producing activities. An example of that is like if you do a video and say you're building your YouTube channel, it's not a direct income producing activity because it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get you leads today, but it's something that leads to it. So if you're doing free traffic, sometimes you're going to be doing things that's going to take a little time to build up. However, it's going to lead to income producing activities. So if you're not going to be doing direct income activities like emailing your list or, basically making offers at this very moment, focusing on indirect activities that will lead to this is just as important in the early stages. Now, basically, we got to define these, right? So we really know what is and isn't income producing activities because a lot of people get this confused. So a non-income producing activity is writing a blog post or shooting a video. That's a non-income producing activity. Now, with that being said, it's indirect, like we just talked about, right? It's something that can lead to it, but the real income producing activity would now be promoting that blog post to get leads. So here's an example for some of you guys. I know some of you guys are doing like Instagram. Some of you guys are following my lead because you love the idea of YouTube and you're going to follow what I'm doing because as of Monday, I'm going ham on YouTube. So creating the video is non-income producing, right? And that it's necessary. But you got to start promoting it. That's where you want to build up like another social media channel, or you want to do some paid ads to get to your content, to get people on your list. You got to promote your content because if you just create it and wait for people to show up, it's like the field of dreams. By the way, you guys are going to love my MOB video sales letter if you watch it. This is total sidetrack. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about here. But I talk about in the sales letter, it's like where you sign up and then they're nowhere to be seen. I use the cool field of dream things. I know, I crack myself up. I digress. So, number 2. Another example of non-income producing activities is designing a landing page. So this is necessary. Example, like the last month of my life has been designing landing pages for the funnel, right? But it wasn't enjoyable. It was actually like pulling nails because I wanted to be marketing and doing fun stuff. But I had to design the landing page. It's indirect. It's going to lead to that, but it's not quite income producing yet, right? So income producing would be getting traffic to that landing page and generating leads or sales. So that's what I'm going to start doing this month. I built it, just like the field of dreams, right? But the baseball players aren't coming. I got to bring the baseball players to the field. So sometimes, because I've known people have kind of confused this before when I did this webinar once before, they took it as like they shouldn't be doing the non-IPA'S. So you're going to have to balance your time. Like if you're a brand new business and you're just getting started right now, your first 30 days, and we're going to talk about this more later, but your first 30 days is like setup. And this is where people go wrong. They're like 30 days in, they're like, nothing, I'm not making no money, it's not working. But it is necessary to do these things. You have to get them out of the way. But soon as you possibly can, you want to switch to the income producing activities because that's where the money's at. Like right now, I'm beyond frustrated that the last basically 45 days of my life has been non-income producing activities. Like I still got about another week till I can really focus on the income producing activities. And I just feel the money being burned right in front of my face. That's how important it is. Now, number 3, going to an event, studying a course, or getting coaching. Studying is necessary, just like these weekly, like lives and weekly training sessions we're going to have, right? But how you make it an income-producing activity is you take the stuff I'm teaching you every week and you go put it to use to generate leads and sales. It's necessary. You have to do it, right? But you can't do it all the time. What most people do is spend more like 80 to 90% on studying, and then there's almost zero time left for income-producing activities. And so you got to balance your studying time with doing time, and the doing time should be far more. The last one, spending hours on social media. I'll be honest, I hate social media. I would not have a Facebook. I would not have a YouTube channel. I would not have any of this stuff if it wasn't useful for business. I honestly don't really like sharing my personal life, but I've learned to come out of my comfort zone. So spending hours on social media, doing that compare-itis stuff we talked about, looking at how cool everybody's life is and all the fun stuff going on in the world, it's fun. However, it's mindless and it doesn't make you money. And if you want to switch to being a producer, somebody who makes money, you use social media strategically. You use social media to make you money. You get on social media for a purpose, not just to spend time doing it. So, an example of income-producing activity is creating content on social media yourself, let everybody else digest your stuff, and then invite them to join your email list, your webinar, so you can sell them stuff. Do you guys see the difference? Let that yes box go all crazy if you get this. You have to make these switches if you want to make it rain, just like Daryl said. I like that. I'm going to make it rain. I need a shirt that says that. That would be badass. You know what, Daryl? I think I'm going to get me a shirt that says make it rain. I really dig that. Yep. All right, moving on along. I got my feedback that I needed. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. All right. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Bear with me, guys. Keynote is freezing up. Okay, good to go. All right, next step. Step number 2. Build 𝐷𝐢𝐿𝐥. So basically, Doug said your platform. And so one thing you're going to see that both myself and all of my successful students do is we build us. So even though, in the early stages of my business, it was really focused on affiliate marketing, and even though this year I'm building MOB and ClickFunnels again, it's still about me. And I try to explain this to one of my other coaching students, saying that, like, look, what you're selling right now, it could be completely different a year from now. A year from now, you could decide that you want to be a personal branding expert. Hannah Kathleen does this. You could decide that you want to sell your own products, or you want to do coaching consulting, or you want to be like a marketing agency. Like, when you build your brand and you don't build like a company's brand or a product's brand or somebody else's brand, you have power. Like, what you're going to see me do, and I talked about this a little bit on the webinar, or not the webinar, the live stream this morning in the Psychologically Unemployable group, which I won't reveal all my marbles out there to there, only in here. But by the end of the year, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to start creating products for people who want to be able to sell their own products. I'm going to create, products on people that want to master paid traffic. I'm going to create products on people that I'm already doing that, the agency. I'm going to be pivoting to all these different people. So they're all in close groups of my niche, but I'm going to branch out with other baits and other things that interest them, because not everybody's going to want to learn how to do affiliate marketing. I'm also going to create a version of the Top Earner Mentor webinar first that caters to people that want to be affiliate marketers. But a close second would be network marketers. The same webinar cannot be for the same two groups of people, because they don't respond to the same terminology. They don't respond to the same kind of language. So I'm going to have to shift the webinar in order to cater to them so I can get another group of people. This is all stuff that I'm going to teach you. You can do this when you have a personal brand. What most people do, especially when they promote stuff like ClickFunnels or MOB, like, if any of you guys are doing this right now, I want you to change it immediately. Never, ever, ever brand yourself to another leader. So basically, this is stuff that people, this is why I didn't want to do the co-branded funnels until I figured out how to do it, where I could actually frame it up, where, you're in it without just like you leveraging my funnel. It's all about me. Is people teach you, hey, go get pictures with every single leader you can, then post them all over your social media so it makes you look cool. No, don't do that. All you're doing is you're basically putting that person up on a pedestal. That goes against like my own benefit for me to even tell you that. Like, because then, if you guys meet me in the future, you want to take the pictures, you're like, oh, Zach told me not to do that. I'm going to post them at the event, but I'm not posting a picture with Zach. Screw that. You want to become your own brand. You don't want to leverage off other people's coattails. Now, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. This goes back to why, if you look at me, why I'm doing so many live streams, why I'm going to do so many YouTube videos. Like, at the end of the day, I'll be honest, I think I'm very good at selling, but I think I'm way better at building relationships and getting people's trust. And then once people trust me, it's game over. I don't got to try anymore. So this is why I teach you to focus on the 95%, because like right now, you can be the world's worst marketer, but if you're just a likable person, and for you right now, if you're going, yeah, but I'm not very outgoing, Zach, trust me, I was not outgoing. I was the total opposite of a people person. I've had to learn to become a people person. Even if you're kind of like, let's say you have more of a corporate vibe, or you're more mellow and you don't drop any F-bombs like me, or you're not bold and just like call people out and say some of the crazy stuff that leaves my mouth, that's completely okay, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of people that come across me that just can't stand me. They probably even think my face is ugly. Like, at the end of the day, like, there's an audience for everybody. If you don't see what I do in the live streams now, some of you guys have been following me, I know for years. And you probably noticed the difference in my delivery now, probably even 2 years ago. I was more timid. I was worried about pleasing people. And now I'm at a stage in my life, I just don't care. Like, if somebody doesn't like me, I don't want them in my atmosphere. I only want people that, like, if I would sit across the table from you, like, we could just hang out and shoot the shit and we'd actually get along. I don't want somebody that, like, if I sat down at the table with them, I'm cringing, like, God, I can't stand this person. And that's how you want to build your business. That's what a personal brand is. You don't have to be a certain person. You don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to sound a certain way. Back in the old days, they taught the fake it till you make it. You got to dress a certain way. You got to talk a certain way. You got to look a certain way. I mean, come on, guys. I'm foul mouthed. I'm covered in tattoos. I have a GED, and I do not look anything professional. I don't wear a suit. If you've ever heard me talk, anytime I'm invited to speak, if they tell me that I need to wear a suit, I will not show up. I refuse. I won't even wear a suit when I get married. I'm going to cut the sleeves off just to be a rebel. So at the end of the day, a personal brand is you. It's not your colors. It's not just like the messaging and the cute light, live life on your terms saying. I created that stuff because I knew people could get behind it, but I am the brand. I could pivot and do something else, and I'm still a brand. Let me get a drink of water because my cold is catching up with me. Okay, so when you build a brand, basically you create a group of raving fans. I have somebody that's like an old coaching student, and he was talking about how, he's seen people with groups that have 30,000. He's never seen the engagement on live streams in a group like my little small group that I built. And basically what I told him is I did that on purpose. I purposely not really try to build that group big because I was trying to figure out my messaging. I was trying to figure out what you guys like, what you care about. I was trying to develop my own voice in a better way. If you don't know, I'll open my vulnerabilities. Last year when Kirian died, it totally wrecked my world to the point I didn't really know what to do anymore. He was the guy that basically gave me the plan, and then when he died, then I was like, well, what do I do now? Because I'm implementing his plan. So I kind of just wandered a little bit to try to figure out what I want to do and how I want to do it. So I just kept delivering cool content to figure out what you guys really like. And now I've kind of figured it out, how to dial it in. And I know I can tell when I go on to talk about certain topics, I already know for the most part which ones are going to be a hit and which ones not as many people will be interested in, but I still want to talk about it anyways. So when you create a group of raving fans, money is not hard to be making. This is why in the beginning, if you really focus on the being a valuable person, your messaging doesn't have to be that good. If you ever heard the true 1,000 fans concept, I don't remember who the actual guy that came up with this, but it's basically if you have a group of 1,000 fans, those people will not only buy everything you sell, but they'll tell their friends and recommend people to you. They'll literally just buy everything you have. This is why you want to create fans. Now, if you want to be successful, I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. Before, I used to worry about if I say the wrong thing, it might scare people off, but I'm just going to tell you what you need if you want to be successful. Right now, you need to be doing video, hands down, point blank. I say it in the PU group because of the fact that I understand not all those people are ready for it, but I expect you guys to hold yourself to a higher standard. You can't be making excuses. Right now, if you want to, ask Bruce. She can give you the link. She sent it to me a month ago about the stats of where video is going. Right now, Facebook predicts that within a year or two, 80% of content is going to be video. So if you're only focusing on written posts because you don't want to put yourself out there, what's that going to happen for you? You got to be doing this stuff. I would never been able to do my first webinar if I didn't start with videos. And my coach knew that. He told me I had to do videos first. And then after I got a little uncomfortable, he's like, all right, time for a webinar. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for video. I wasn't ready for webinars. I wasn't ready to launch my first product. I wasn't ready to speak on stage. I wasn't ready for any of that stuff. But you got to step out of your comfort zone and be willing to do it. It's going to be uncomfortable. Trust me. It's going to suck a little bit. It's going to be a little painful. It's going to be like if you ever started a diet and the first couple weeks you're like, man, I just want pizza. But at the end of the day, after you start doing it, it starts to feel better. It starts to get easier. Then you ask yourself, why did I fight this for so long? If you look at right now, the biggest people in all industries, they're publishers. They're self-publishers. We have this beautiful thing called the internet where we can get rich on it, and now we can literally just take our iPhone and we can become famous. Do you realize that? But if you fight it, you're making your job 10 times more harder. Now, the more value you put into the marketplace, the more money you'll make. Steve Howe's a perfect example of this, right? And he's just now stepped up to the plate. So understand, when I preach to you like this, I'm preaching to myself. Do you guys realize why I just shared all my goals with you at the beginning of the webinar? It's because I'm publicly holding myself accountable to you. Now, there's no room for me to bitch out. Because if I do, I'm going to look really stupid. Now, with that being said, I'm sure you'll give me a little leeway if I fall a little short and I get pretty close to the goal, right? But the point is that I'm not making excuses anymore. I'm holding myself publicly accountable to you. I'm letting you know what I'm doing because I expect to be a little uncomfortable. To be quite honest, I expect to be doing a little bit of crying this year when things don't go my way, but I'm going to work through it. And that's what it takes to be a winner. It's not going to all be sunshine and rainbows. It's not going to all be fun. And a lot of it, honestly, is going to be more mediocre days than epic days. But if you stay consistent for a year, your life will it'll be just epic. Like by the end of the year, I'm pretty much not going to have a life. By the end of the year, I will be able to do whatever I want. Like my goal in 2019, so you know, is pretty much just to travel the world and be a full-time vlogger, not about business. I mean, just like filming videos and doing fun stuff because it's just something I want to do. I don't care about the money aspect. Now, will it lead to money? Yes, because becoming an influencer does, but it's more just something on my bucket list. So if you stay disciplined, your life can be fun all the time. If you do the easy stuff now, your life is hard forever. I like the first choice of just making a year of sacrifice. This is the same thing I told my other coaching students. Like, suck it up for this year, and then next year when you're making millions of dollars, which I'm guaranteeing they will because they're at that stage where it's just a few tweaks and they're going to be there, their life is going to be pretty darn cool. Now, when you build a brand, people will follow you for years. How many of you guys have been following me for at least 2 years? Just type like 1 in the chat box if you've been following me for at least 2 years. And then if you bought more than one product from me, type a 2. What I can tell here is this. Okay, there we go. My comments were going really weird. Jimbo says 6+. Jimbo, you can't follow directions. I said 2, not 6, buddy. All right, so there you go. So you see the power of this works, and that's why I always like to use the examples instead of me just like talking about it, just like asking you so you can see the social proof from other people. When you build a brand and you actually don't screw people over, then they follow you for a long time. You can get ahead really quick by doing some of the dirty stuff in the industry. Like, you know, I can tell you last year, there's another reason why I kind of pulled off the gas. There was some personal relationships I had with people I looked up to that they did some really dirty stuff, and I honestly debated on completely quitting this industry because I didn't want to be associated with these types of people. And I was just like, you know what? I think I'm just going to quit and just start focusing on the fitness thing. And then, I don't know, for some reason, like in that time frame when I took 2 months off, like several of you reached out to me like, Zach, man, I miss your content. Like, you know, my life wouldn't be the same without you, and I wouldn't have got to where I'm at without you. And then I was like, you know what? I guess what they're trying to tell me is that I can be the change in the industry. And so that was when I decided when I come back, I'm going to come back 10 times harder than I ever did. And my goal is to put these assholes out of business. That's the truth. Because to me, it's disgusting how people treat their customers. So when you focus on helping people, you will have a business that never goes down. Your customers will tell other people about you. They will rave about you. They will continue to buy stuff from you. But it goes back to what I talked about in my live stream earlier today. You have to focus on skill sets. You have to get good at something. And when you get good at something, now people have a reason to follow you. They have a reason to want to buy your stuff over and over again. So don't focus on chasing money. Focus on getting good at stuff that can help other people, because then you will never struggle for money. Now, last tip. I know a lot of you guys are affiliates, right? And so this is really crucial because products and companies don't last forever. Like, this is something a lot of people don't want to tell you, but the products and companies change. And so what you do is you extract as much money as you can from those offers while they're hot, but when you build that personal brand, it doesn't matter. You can replace them. So if you guys don't know, one of the things I'm aiming to build, I tried to build it earlier in the year when I originally launched Top Earner Mentor, but then I didn't realize all the stuff that goes into it, and basically I couldn't pull it off. And so I'm essentially going to invest around $20,000 to $30,000 later this year, and I'm going to build my own basically membership site software. I'm not going to be using ClickFunnels anymore, and I'm going to build all the features I want, stuff like comments and being able to, you know, for instance, I know Joe said that she missed on Kajabi where you could like mark off what lessons you went through. I'm also going to build in things in the section where you can actually leave me notes so it goes directly to me, or you can even put notes yourself on things on each module so if you want to review them later, kind of like it's your own personal diary. Now, on top of that, it's going to be an affiliate platform. So basically, I'm going to have all my products, you know, those joint venture products I talked about with some of you guys. So any of you guys that want to publish under my brand and have a built-in, you know, audience to sell to. I'm going to have those products in there, so when they buy, you get commissions. But then what happens is, say an affiliate offered tanks, I don't care. I'll just rotate out the offer and plug in something else. So I put in all the front work by building the brand, building, the Top Earner Mentor community, and then all I do is I plug in another offer so we keep making money. This is why you want to build a brand. When you build a company, you build an affiliate product, you basically don't have a business. You can be starting over in a night when they shut down. This is what happens, and I've never been in MLM, but I've also seen some of the companies that have went out of business and like everybody's freaking out because their income dropped overnight. Like I'm not sure if you're familiar with Kaylin, I can't think of her name. It's one of Russell Brunson's coaching students in the fitness industry. She was in MLM before she became the fitness expert and the powerhouse she is now, and that's how she got into what she was doing. The MLM went under, and all of her income was just crushed. So then she basically was in fight or flight mode and said, okay, it's time to do my own thing. But the good thing she did was she built a brand. She already built an audience from sharing fitness tips and helping people. So when you build a brand, at that point, like everything changes. That's a good example. Todd said EN. If you don't know what that means, that's Empower Network. John said, I'm just now looking at some of your guys' comments. John said, can I get help, or can I help to get these assholes out of business? Love it. All right, so moving on along. Branding social media. So something that a lot of people do wrong is there's different things I've seen. Some people, like I said, they brand other people, they brand a company. Like, I love ClickFunnels. I think it's awesome, right? But I laugh every time I see people's, like, they put, like, they work at ClickFunnels as their job, or they have, like, on their timeline cover, they're a funnel hacker. I see the same thing for Mob. Like, when I look at, like, the amateur affiliates, they put, like, Mob across their timeline. They put Mob as their job. And, like, to me, this is just silly because, for one, when somebody comes to your social media, do you think that they want to look at somebody's stuff where all they're trying to do is sell them? If you look at, like, the people where they post their links every day for stuff to buy, and then you see, like, they get, like, one like, it's because of the fact that, like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And so, for me, I put, like, a quote of what I believe in. Try to become a man of success, but rather to become a man of value. And then, of course, it's, like, all the things that I care about. My family, my camera, travel. So why not put stuff like of your family or things that you care about that feels less threatening and not so salesy, and you'll get 10 times a better result. Remember, you are the brand. Your company, your product, what you're promoting, it's not a brand. It's their brand. Now, you're going to see a consistent thing. Now, you guys will see all this change. I didn't have time because I'm still literally building the sales funnel. So you can see this is all the old stuff with the conversions lab. So all of it's going to change over the next week. But everything I do is consistent across the board. Your branding should be consistent on every channel you use. Now, here's examples of like Hannah Kathleen as well as Steve Howe. So you notice they are a personal brand. Like right now, for instance, like Steve, and I don't know if Steve's watching. I give him a bit of a hard time, so I got to redeem him. So example is things he cares about is stuff like, he's a big Christian. He cares about personal development. He cares, about fitness. Like, even though he's doing real estate now, he's actually kind of at the point now where he's kind of thinking about other things that he wants to do in the future. So even though he's making really good money with real estate right now, he's creating a brand, which is productive wisdom, right? And he can pivot to anything. If he decided he wanted to be in the personal development industry, he can switch to that. Like, once you build an audience and you build a brand, things can change. You're not stuck doing the same thing forever. Now, with that being said, if you make all of your stuff like about what you're doing, then at that point, it's kind of hard. This is why I tell people, like, if you follow the method that I teach with like review post, right, where you clean up traffic for the buyer keywords, like where product name review, don't put all that stuff on your blog homepage. Hide it on pages, because when you put it on the homepage, your blog just looks like a sales pitch. It's all it is. A blog is not meant to do that. It's meant to give value. Now, here's another example. So these are branding. We got Ruth on here. Ruth's on the call. This is like, you notice we all put our face on everything. Now, I want to point out something really quick. Unlike your blog and stuff like that, it's fine to put your face, right? But when you're going to cold traffic, which we're going to have some webinars in the future about the difference between cold and warm. An example, you guys are hot traffic. You know me, you bought my stuff, you're hot. Warm traffic is like they've been exposed to you and they know you a little bit. Maybe they're on your email list or they follow you on social media. Cold is they don't know you. So if you're going out, example, and doing like a Facebook ad with your face and they've never seen you, they don't care. You're better off keeping it something that's aligned with what you're trying to get them to opt in for. And then later, once they know you, then you use retargeting with your face because now they know you. So your guys will pretty much see pretty soon. Once I get everything set up, you're going to see my cheesy little grin. You'll probably see some cool ads with like Athena staring at you with like funny faces and stuff. And it's because you guys know who I am. You hear me talking about Athena. You hear me talking about my, you've seen me before. So if all of a sudden you see a picture with me and Athena, and you're going to be like, hey, that's Zach. Because you're warm. You know who I am. Well, example, you guys are hot. But if somebody hit my blog and they seen my face or they seen something like that, they would know who I am. Now, the example, I guess, with Athena, I would probably say that from my buyers list. Somebody that's already bought something, and then I retarget them because they know who Athena is. If I retargeted just somebody that landed on my blog, I probably should just retarget with just myself because they might be confused with why Athena's there. But the point is that when you use your personal branding, like in your blog and all that stuff, it's important that one thing is that you're always smiling, you always look friendly, you always look inviting, because if you look friendly, you're easier to approach. Do any of you guys here, let's see for the OGs, do any of you guys remember like when I did videos and stuff and I never smiled ever? And I know some of you guys called me out on it. I think it might have been Jimbo that used to say that. Like I used to literally never smile because I wasn't really that happy. I was miserable. I was trying to get out of debt and I was like frustrated that the stuff wasn't working. And so I never smiled. And like you notice now, I'm always laughing. I'm always making smart ass jokes. I'm always kidding around. And it's because I don't take life that seriously anymore. But back then I was a prude. So now everything I do, I smile all the time. And what's funny is people are always like, you got such a great smile. And I'm like, psh, damn, Zach, why didn't you do that years ago? So that's a mistake I made. Don't do that. All right. So moving on along. You also want to brand your thank you pages. Remember what I said about how I, for instance, always, put things everywhere? Like even, man, Todd's been following me for a while. He said he remembers the beat up wife beater. Yeah, I used to, on my old thank you page videos, guys, I used to be on the beach in the Philippines with the wife beater. It had holes in it. And I'm like, hey guys, it's Zach Crawford here. No smile. And I'm like, welcome to my blog. And over the next 5 days, you're going to learn this. And it was like the most uninviting thing ever. I don't know how people bought from me, but somehow they did. Like some of the people that are on this very webinar. It's funny. So now, like when people come on to my webinar, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Zach Crawford here. Energy is really good. Having energy so people see like you're actually like upbeat. Now, I understand for some people that's going to like be a little bit of a challenge because it was a challenge for me. But the more energy you can bring, like if you notice even now, like certain times I'm like, hey, like even on this webinar, energy keeps people engaged. How many right now, just be honest. If not, it's cool. How many of you guys feel like you're getting value on this webinar? It's engaging, it's fun to be here, and you don't feel like it's a waste of your time? Give me a yes if you think yes, no if no. If it's no, it's completely okay. I don't get butthurt. Jimbo said, you looked like you had been out all night. No, I wasn't out all night. I was not getting a whole lot of sleep. Okay, so you see what I'm saying? Like when you bring energy, oh, there's John. There's my man, John. I didn't know he was here. So when you bring energy, it's attractive to other people, right? People don't want to be around people that are like, depressing. Think about it. In our day-to-day lives, if we have a job, which, all right, I can't really relate to that. I haven't had a job in 6 years. 6 years ago, when I had a job, right? Like I was that depressing person I'm talking about. Like I'd call my dad, like, man, this freaking stuff sucks. And I was always complaining about everything. And I was never happy. And things just weren't like, it wasn't the me you see now, right? And then I learned over time, the more energy you bring, the more attractive you are to other people. And what's funny is, like, and this is what baffles me. For a long time, I was afraid to cuss, even though I cuss quite a bit. And I'm sure there's some people on here, it's like they don't really like that I cuss, but they're like, all right, you're smart enough, I'm going to listen to you, but I hate you. With that being said, I was worried that, like, if I cussed, it would offend other people. And a lot of my audience for a while was people that looked like, to me, that they've never said a cuss word in their life. So I was really afraid to offend them. And then what's funny is this year, like, everybody said, because they can see that I'm being my authentic self and I'm not faking it and I'm just being who I am, like, they like me 10 times more than when they followed me before. So when you be who you are, and you're actually not afraid if people don't like you, you're not afraid if, for instance, like, you offend somebody, you're not worried if they judge you. And let's be honest, we all care about what people think. We care if they judge us. We care about if they don't like us. Even if we try to say, well, I don't care, you really care. But when you be yourself, right, you're going to attract really cool customers that, like, enjoy being around you. They enjoy being a part of your brand. They enjoy being a part of your community. And that's what I'm trying to create this year. I'm trying to create a brand that really you guys start creating some of the content. Like, I'd love to have you guys on live streams teaching people about stuff you know. If they follow you and they buy your stuff, then more power to you. But you're going to have to bring the energy because you can't bore people. So be yourself. Don't worry about what people think about you. Don't worry about it. So as you see, everything I do, including the thank you page, it's always me like, hey, Zach here. I want them to get used to me. And another thing I want to point out, if you guys have been following me for like at least a year, you've seen me say the Zach's here on almost every live stream. The Zach's here in every email. The Zach's here in every live stream. Do you realize I don't do that out of habit? I do it for a reason. You want to be consistent with everything you do. Consistency is important on everything. Like, another thing I do is, if you notice now, I wear my brand colors. Like, I don't even really like my orange hat, to be quite honest. But now everything I do, I'm rocking orange and black because it's part of my brand colors. And the reason being is, if people see me on an ad and they see me on a live stream, they're going to notice me because, of the colors. And the same things I say over and over and over again. Hey, Zach here. Hey, Zach here. After a while, it becomes kind of like a household thing, right? So be consistent with like your messaging. Be consistent with like everything you do, because it makes it easier for somebody to trust you. Now, you also want to brand like, your video sales letters. This is stuff I'm going to teach you guys later. Hopefully you guys are interested in learning this stuff, because this has made me a lot of money. So I have a very specific process for the most part. Like, it's pretty easy, to be quite honest. John didn't, he didn't actually do a video sales letter for his fitness product, but he did my process of how I come up with my video sales letters. So one of the best ways that I do it, like, I know how to write copy for the most part, but I always find like something that converts. It's similar to my offer, and then I transcribe it, and then I rewrite it to my story. That's one of the best ways, just so you know, if you want to start doing that before I teach you all the actual stuff I do. That's how I started doing video sales letters before I knew it. But my face is at the beginning of every single video sales letter I did. I just wanted to point out that I had man tits in this picture. I thought that was funny. All right, so here is the results from branding myself, right? So when I started doing all this stuff, right, when I started branding myself years ago, like at the current point, like I said, I should have already made probably $2 million at least with Mob. I stopped doing it. Like, I don't know why. Like, I punch myself now for even thinking about it, but I literally should have. I've just now seen all the smiley faces for what I said, so it kind of threw me off. All right, so branding yourself, right? This is how you make a lot of money, because of the fact that, like, when people trust you, they don't fear spending money. They don't fear spending money. So if I would have stuck with this would have already been like $2 million. So by the end of the year, the goal is to do at least another $500,000 to get the ring. But if everything works to plan, it'll be a lot more. So when you focus on a few things, you focus on personally branding, then you can make sales hand over fist. Now, I want to keep reeling this in, right? So before I really got cleaning up my marketing, there was at one point when me and Ava were running the agency a couple years ago. And she can probably remember this. It was really cool. So we were on like basically like a mini vacation. I took like everybody on the team out to celebrate, because that was like my first big month. I went from being broke in December, and if you heard me tell this story, we went out and gave money away that I didn't have, and I just invested the money in Mob, which I really didn't have. And so I heard Tony Robbins say about, like, if you're in a bad place, do something nice for other people, because it'll make you feel better about yourself. And then usually good things come back to you. So I'm like, you know what? Like, my agency is not doing so well right now. Things are just not going great. I'll try anything. And so I literally went out and like passed out money, and I gave it to these people. And there's one girl across the counter, this is how I come to my whole value concept. And she literally like cried. All I gave her was like $25, and she couldn't even she stuttered so much she couldn't even remember to give me my like 30-cent chili. And that like changed my life, because she told me that because of that, she is now going to be able to get her kids Christmas presents on the way home. And she was literally working like something like 18 hours a day or something insane for like next to nothing on Christmas Day. And I went home and like literally cried my eyes out, because I couldn't believe, like, man, like, I think my problems are bad, but here's somebody who's got a much worse situation. Now, about 40 days later, I think it was 45 days to be exact, I literally rise at the top of the leaderboards competing with the biggest people in the company and made 40 grand. Now, I tend to think that had something to do with it. But my point here is that this is when I really started learning this stuff, that it's not about like having fancy marketing. It's not about like, because my stuff was ugly. And So we went out on this cool little trip to take everybody out to celebrate that we finally got a win. And we had a few of the agency clients left, and he basically cussed in a way and basically told us to get stuff done now. And he thought he was a hot shot, so I told them immediately to pull the car over. I walked over to this like really cool, if you've ever seen that picture I post where it has like the cool volcano in the background, I walked over there. It wasn't on purpose. We stopped right there. And in 10 minutes without no mess ups, and at this time when I was doing videos, I was not that good. Like I wasn't where I could just like do a sales pitch in a matter of like one try. And I literally pulled over, didn't know what I was going to say. They could tell I was really angry. I walked over, did a video, said this is what I'm going to offer you for coaching. Literally like got back in the car, went home, launched it that night with just a video on my blog and PayPal buttons, and sold $5,000 coaching with an ugly video that was 7 minutes long, and I did it with one try. Now, I don't know many people that I've heard of in the industry that can sell $5,000 coaching with literally just an ugly YouTube video in your tank top wife beater with holes in it, and you literally don't have any fancy marketing. And my list at that current moment was like 2,400 people. Yep. And so basically, I did this several times. I did it several times where I made like 50,000, 70,000. It's a repeatable process. If you remember what I told you before, once you break that 4-minute mile and you learn how to do something and you remember like, okay, these are the steps that I did that, and you go do the steps again, it works the same way every single time. And if you watch me, I'm going to actually do it when I have time, by the way, too, guys. I'm going to break down when I sold the Top Earner Mentor launch in the Facebook group. I've actually downloaded the video. I got notes and I'm going to put together, do a case study for you. But now I actually know how to pitch. Back then, I didn't know how to pitch. I just knew like, okay, here's what I got. Here's how it's going to help you. Here's how to get it. But now I have a very strategic process that I use when I pitch. And so I'm going to teach you guys this stuff, and you can use it in your emails. You can use it like in your social media. You can use it on live streams. And when you do it, it literally creates predictable money every single time. It's not something that you have to wonder, will it work? It works every single time. Now, we talked a little bit about Steve. I don't think we need to talk about Steve too much. You guys have seen him mostly, but it was in the presentation, so it's here. But the first time that Steve did this, and guys, I keep talking about this over and over, and I'm sure that probably many people have not watched it. There's a 3.5-hour case study inside of Top Earner Mentor on 10K from a dead list. And people tell you that you can't make money from a list if you stop emailing them for a while. I stopped emailing the list for like 6 months. I did a re-engagement sequence for like 2 weeks. I made $10,000 in the front end with the $97 product. Jimbo, this is the chocolate sequence that you always refer to. And then on the back end, it was an additional $40,000 like a week or two later. So Steve bought this at that time. I don't know if that was the first product he bought from me or not, but he bought the product, and then he went and basically copied the sequence for his stuff and just modeled it for his real estate product. And his very first try did 9 sales of $997. Now, since then, he's learned this skill, and he just keeps building it over and over. So if you go through that case study, and then you look at his first case study, and you look at his second case study, you're going to notice a reoccurring trend. All he did is make better versions of what he originally did. See what I said? Once you learn how to do something, it's repeatable. You just do it again. So he learned how to do it the first time, and all he did is perfected it and made it better and better and better. That's it. So once you learn this stuff, even though it's confusing, because trust me, there's going to be a little time as I'm teaching you some of this stuff, it's going to be a bit confusing. It's going to be a bit frustrating because it's not something you've done before, and that's completely normal. But you got to force yourself to do it because it's going to be the difference between making money and not making a whole lot of money. Now, give me a yes if you understand that you need to brand yourself, regardless if you're new or if you've already got results in your business. This should be an undenying yes. Like, you got to brand yourself from day one. You got to become the expert. Now, I want to point out something really quick. I always teach about becoming the expert, right? And you heard I said becoming, not you are an expert. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I believe that you become an expert. You become an expert by developing your skill sets. You become an expert by delivering value. And if you remember what I said, it's more powerful for somebody to come to the conclusion of something than you to tell them that. So I'm going to point out something to you that I do, and I probably shouldn't because this is one of my magic tricks, but it's okay. I got more. So you notice I always tell you guys that I'm not a guru. I never will be called a guru, and I don't want to be considered a guru on the top of the mountain. And the reason I do that is because most people in my audience, not my audience, I should say most of my competitors, they try to play that role that they are the guru. They always want to position themselves as a guru. Now, I understand people call me a guru now, and it's probably going to get even worse this year, but I will never accept that role because I want people to know that I'm on the ground floor with them. I'm doing the same stuff, and I'm just a little bit more consistent. I'm a little bit ahead, but you can do it too. So at the end of the day, even though it's I guess a compliment to be a guru, at the same time, I always try to position myself as I'm just a normal person. I do a lot of things that I mess up, and this is something that you're able to do as well. But if you notice, I never claim to be an expert. I let people come to the conclusion that I am. Because if I tell them I am, it's kind of like the person that you know that is like, he thinks he's cool and he thinks he's awesome, but nobody thinks he's awesome. It's overcompensating, at least in my opinion. So what you want to do is you want to let people come to the conclusion that you are the expert because you have the knowledge and you share value. And they will. If you consistently deliver value, they will come to that conclusion on their own. They don't need you to tell them that you're awesome. Now, step 3. You must build a leverage asset. And we talked about this a little bit. That was the list. And essentially, it's the same thing with, like a Starbucks. If Starbucks wants to sell more coffee, it's pretty darn simple. You put up more Starbuckses around the city. It's literally that simple. You want more coffee? You put up more places. Can't create your own nickname. So essentially, for us to create our own Starbucks and sell more coffee, all we want to do is build our list. More people, we have more distribution channel. That's exactly what an email list is. You have a way to follow up with someone. So something I've been explaining on my coaching calls this week is that most people don't buy right away. I've explained this several times. I usually always use the example. Johnny says in my mind, a guru is someone not to be trusted. Okay, good. I'm not taking that role. So I always use 𝐤𝐸𝐿𝐽𝐸 as the example because he's one at least I know of that did this, and he never bought anything, and then he literally invested like $10,000 after 6 months, and he just stayed on my list, and he said he basically just wanted to see if I was full of shit. That was his whole thing because he doesn't trust many people, and he said even to this day he still doesn't trust many people. So this is why it's so important that you constantly follow up, because when you follow up day in and day out, it becomes the right time for somebody to buy every single day. But really, it's the right time for lots of people to buy every single day. The bigger that list gets, the more money you make. So here's an example. Like right now, I have no desire to really create a membership model. And the reason being is because it's a high turnover. Like literally the standard's like 3 months is what somebody stays on a membership. Now, if you had a list of like 100,000 people, it would be worth it then, because then you're going to constantly be building that list. And at that point, you're going to make so much money from that reoccurring income that you just replace the people that fall off. Now, if you have a smaller list in the beginning, do you notice how like Steve is selling high ticket too? This is why I sell big ticket stuff. Like it's 10 times easier, and you're going to see the examples here. It's 10 times easier to sell things that are expensive than it is to sell things that are cheap. It's the same effort. It's literally the same effort. So here's the thing. The key to making money is building your list. We talked about that, and we talked about how everything is a repeatable strategy, right? When you have an email list, it literally creates money on demand. I think I've shared this story a few times before. Some of you guys remember this, but I've got tax bills that are like $100,000 and I didn't pay for it. My list paid for it. Now, it sounds harsh, but it's true. Dan Kennedy has a saying that if you want things, you make your list pay for it. And when I got that tax bill, I freaked out. Like, wow, like people really do pay this kind of money in taxes. This sucks. And so all I did is I crafted an offer, and in like 2 days I had the money. So when you have an email list, like it literally is that whole push button money everybody talks about. It's money on demand. The other thing is it's the only traffic source you control. So here's the thing. I love live streams right now. I love, like for the idea of YouTube, like YouTube's going to be my main focus. I actually plan to get into Instagram pretty heavy this year. But the thing is that those channels can delete you at any time. I know I heard Russell say, it was on one of his podcasts a few weeks back, that like Instagram literally just shut him down. So this is why you got to build your list, because these platforms, you can grow them really big and they can just decide for whatever reason they don't like you. And it happens. But with a list, you can control it. Now, with that being said, you should be creating these other things. An example of this is like, my Facebook group. I look at that Facebook group as a secondary email list. Like, I didn't email my list. In fact, I haven't emailed my list in months. just because I was trying to figure out for a while, as I told you, my messaging, trying to figure out what I wanted to focus on after Kieran passed away. And so I've been making all the money from the Facebook group. Literally people messaging me, asking me what to join, doing the live streams and selling on the live streams. So a live stream or a Facebook group is a secondary email list, but I still, there's still nothing that proves income like an email list. It doesn't, because people are conditioned to buy on their email list, especially in certain niches. So if you don't get that, everything should be focused on building that list and selling second. So we want to obviously build the list, deliver value, and then sell. And if you haven't got it, all traffic goes to squeeze page, a webinar page, or a blog post with opt-in. So if it goes back, I'm going to break this down more next week when I show you my business, because I got to get all my funnels set up. But I'll show you everything I'm creating, everything I'm putting together. It's going to lead to a funnel. Either a funnel meaning like a sales funnel, where it's like email 1, email 2, email 3, or it could lead to a webinar that could be either live or auto. But everything is about building my list. I don't care about anything else other than that. The value, just so you understand, there's terms called top of funnel and bottom of funnel, and then there's also middle of funnel. But your top of funnel is content. So a live stream, that could lead to an opt-in. A blog post, that can lead to an opt-in. A video, that can lead to an opt-in. Everything you want to do to get that email list. Now, I get asked this all the time, and it really kind of depends niche by niche, but how much should you email every day? In my opinion, if you're in the make money online industry especially, you should probably be emailing at least every other day. You want to stay top of mind. I also think if you're actually constantly focusing on really, getting valuable, if you're constantly focusing on delivering value, if you do what I do, where you're researching 24/7 on ideas for content, email as often as you have good stuff to say. If you're in something that's like say fitness or a niche that's not really used to getting emails every day, you probably want to scale it back to maybe 3 emails a week, just because of the fact that if they're not used to getting emails every day, it could be kind of strange for them. But in the make money online space, people are used to pretty much seeing emails in their inbox every day. You just got to make sure your stuff is good. I'm going to teach you how to do that stuff, and then you guys get to model after me. If you don't know, every single email I write, unless it's just something it's you couldn't duplicate because I sent to a blog post or something, I'm going to give you all my emails so you guys can model them, tweak them, and whatnot. So here's an example of why I promote big ticket, and this is basically going down example of MOB, right? So when I promoted MOB heavily, this was my stats at the time that I pulled it. Now at that point I only had 348,000 in commissions, right? But as you see right here, only 7,776 people clicked the link. That means unique. And unique means it's individual people. Think of every one of you guys that are on this live, you guys are all unique. Now, the 17,165, that was the total amount of clicks that clicked basically the link over the course of this year, right? Well, out of all those links, that means one person could have clicked it more than once. They could have clicked it 2 or 3 times. If you look at that, it generated $348,000 in commissions, over 1,625 sales, which means every single person was worth an average of $214. So what that basically means is if I wanted to go to paid traffic with this, as long as I spend less than $200 to get a $49 buyer, I'm building my list for free. Now, I want to make you understand why this is so crucially important. My goal in 2019, as I told you, is to pretty much do full-time vlogger outside of the make money niche, right? So this year, my only goal is to build the biggest list I can possibly build for free. Because as you heard me say, and you guys proved it when you posted how many times you bought from me, once somebody buys, if you don't treat them like crap, they buy multiple times. So my goal every single month is to get my income up of how much I can spend. My goal within 6 months is to be spending $100,000 a month on paid ads. So with doing that, by the end of the year, my goal is to do $1 million launch internally. If you're processing here, that will be 100% ROI. Now at that point, I'm pretty much retired for the year. Everything else that I do is just extra icing on the cake. All of the sales funnels that I put in place, all this year, all the automated webinars I create, it's just going to be additional income on top of that launch that I do in January. So everything I'm doing now is leading up to January, and at that point, it's just going to be a huge payday, to the point that my life is pretty darn cush. When you have big ticket, then when you go to do paid traffic, you can scale. Now, this is a question I get all the time. People ask about paid traffic. What should my budget be to start paid traffic, Zach? It should be unlimited. What do you mean unlimited? Well, think about it. If you can spend $200 and you can get $200 back, would logic tell you you do that every single day? I hope the answer is yes, because the bigger that list gets, the more money you're going to make. See, the reason I focus on breaking even and not making a profit is because the more that I can stretch things to breaking even, if my competitors try to copy me, they don't think about paid traffic properly, so they're going to quit. They're like, well, this doesn't work. And then also, I can just keep spending, and that list gets bigger. Now, what I want you to realize really quick is that when you do this, not every person on that list is bought yet. There's only a handful of people that are buying in the early stages that are paying for you to build that list. And then after that breaks even, then every single person that buys, you have 100% ROI business. Now, if you've ever heard me say why I don't like the e-commerce business and I like the info space business is because this is the only type of business that you can traditionally really do that. With info products, the margins are huge. And once you actually have that list, you just keep making money. You keep making money. It's crazy. So here's the thing you want to really focus on, right? Now, the industry standard is that you will basically make $1 per subscriber per month, right? So even if you're not the world's best marketer, if you listen to me when I talked about Steve Howe's list, right? He only had 1,000 people when he did $100,000. That's more. That's a lot more than $1 per subscriber per month. My list was at 2,000 people when I had my first $40,000 month. That's a lot more than $1 per subscriber. This is because I sell high ticket. Now, even if you suck, you should still make $1 per subscriber. And so this is where you got to look at the numbers and really ask yourself, if you could get a lead for $1 and build a list of 10,000, you realize you're going to make $10,000 in order to basically make $350,000 for the year. I'm talking based on how me and Steve did it, right? If you follow what I'm teaching you, it's going to be worth a lot more than $1 per subscriber. It's not going to be worth just $1. $1 is if you're not putting much effort into this, you're literally just kind of mailing them to offers consistently, and you're not really adding value. If you really, really do this, your list is going to be worth a lot. So if you even just set a small goal to do 100 leads per day, and you could get the leads down to $1, which it can happen. Now, I'm not going to proclaim I'm the world's best paid traffic guy. It's going to take me a while to get there, but I'm going to show you all this stuff. But right now, for example, if you guys don't know, inside of Top Earner Mentor, Sebastian actually made a course for you guys on Facebook ads. And he literally is getting some leads on his ebooks for 79 cents. And this is in the make money industry. So this is very possible once you get good at it. So as I said, my focus is to scale up this stuff very, very fast. I'm going to be focusing on both Facebook ads and YouTube ads. All you have to do as I start doing all this stuff is basically modeling me. That's it. So if you look at this, if you just invest a little money up front, once you get the basics down, then you can scale it very fast. Now, here's my suggestion of what I believe based on what most people teach. Most people teach you to start with paid ads. I think this is a horrible way to go. And the reason being is you got to first learn the basics, right? You got to learn content marketing and you got to learn emails. When you understand that, that's when this stuff can be profitable. If you try to go into paid traffic without knowing the basics, you're going to go broke. To me, telling somebody to start with paid traffic out of the gate is horrible. What I'm going to teach you to start with is retargeting. Retargeting, hands down, is the best way to go because when somebody goes to your blog or they go to your content and then you retarget them, they're aware of you. They know who you are. And the leads are very cheap. You'll be able to get leads very, very cheap at that point because they're not people that don't know who you are. When you go to cold traffic, the costs start going up. But once you have the funnel dialed in, then you can start scaling it out. So don't get too caught up on this or freaking out about it. We're going to work through this week by week. And as you start getting things set up, as your businesses start getting in place, I'm going to show you everything I'm doing, both the good ads, the bad ads, and the things that don't really work out too great. Now, does this make sense that basically this is your number one focus moving forward? You got to build the list, right? You see the power of why the list is the most important, why you need to have the follow-up. So we can move on to the next step. See, John says he invested 8 hours in his business today. Good. I'm just taking a look at the comments, guys. All right, cool. I'm seeing some yeses. Yeah, Jimbo actually just said something good that I think is very good as well. This is a mistake I made, and this is why I don't really talk about my past. Jimbo said, don't quit your day job yet. Keep the cash flow coming in. So a problem that a lot of people seem to ask me quite a bit is like, should they just quit their job and gamble it? And like for me, if you guys know like my past, like I quit and went to the Philippines, but it wasn't like by choice. I was literally one step away from the creditors garnishing all my wages. And, so I had to do fight or flight mode, right? So if some of you guys have some good jobs, I would stick in your job, or even if you're doing like freelance work, do that extra stuff while you guys are learning this so you have more money to invest. I didn't have any money for paid traffic. I barely had money to do the tools. I barely had money to do the things I needed to do. So it was bootstrap mode. All right, so step number 4 is become a valuable person. We talked about the content, but I want to talk about really like how you do it for the most part. So really, in my opinion, the more value you put out there over the course of time consistently, the more money you're really going to make. And as I talked about, you got to create your own content. So there's a method that I learned, and I didn't coin the term. It's called ILT, invest in products and training, learn the information, and teach it. I learned this from 𝐤𝐤𝐥𝐿. And so basically his whole concept is the same, it's the same story I always tell about Frank Abagnale. If you ever heard me talk about that in the movie Catch Me If You Can, you really just need to know a little bit more than the person you're trying to help. So if you're like in the make money online space, for example, you just need to know a little bit more than the person you're trying to help. And you don't claim to be the expert. You guide them to the products that can help them. An example of John, even though John really knows his stuff in the fitness industry, right? He doesn't need to be an expert. He doesn't need to have certifications to be an expert in the fitness industry, right? He's a walking testimonial of what it takes to get in great shape. So you don't have to be the expert. You become the expert. And how you become the expert is you're constantly investing in yourself. So like I said, I'm a serial buyer. I buy stuff all the time. The difference is I buy strategic stuff that's related to my business. Now, this is the most important step right here, guys. I'm going to highlight this. Take action on what you learn to create case studies from your results to help other people. So some of the best stuff I've ever did, and if you notice you keep hearing me talk about, I'm going to share everything with you in the case studies. The most powerful way to get trust, the most powerful way to help someone is to show what you're doing. This is why you got to take action. You got to get over the fear of doing stuff, because by not doing stuff, you're not going to build trust. When you show what you're doing, you share what you're doing, and you show like your failures, which I think actually the failures are more important than the success. So this is why like when I actually show you case studies of my paid traffic campaigns, I'm going to show you what I did wrong. And this is what I hate about every single paid traffic course I buy. For one, they show you like, this is my other Facebook ad account. Anybody that's bought a Facebook ad course knows what I'm talking about, right? They always show you, I've seen this from some of the biggest so-called Facebook ad experts, and they'll say, this is my secondary account, I just test things in. And they don't show you anything. They just show you like how they set up an ad, and they did it solely for just for the course. So you don't really learn their thought process of how it works, right? I want to see like, well, what did you do that you failed, and how did you actually get to your thought process to the winning ad, right? So that's why when I document stuff, I'm going to show both the ones I do wrong that are just stupid ideas, and then what I changed to actually make it profitable. Because that's far more knowledgeable to understand how the person thinks and what they changed than just to show the winning. So when I started years ago, before Gary Vaynerchuk hit the scene, and he talked about how like you got to document and not basically preach stuff, right? I was documenting before I really understood what I was doing. I was just like, I was treating a blog how a blog was supposed to be. A blog is essentially an online diary, if you don't know. That's how it started, just sharing your life, sharing what you're doing, and that was it. So I started sharing the stuff I was learning in my marketing. I would like show like things I'm doing with YouTube and things I learned about SEO. I never claimed to be the SEO guru, but if you guys have followed me for the years, I literally like outproduced everybody in the SEO industry for the make money terms. I learned to become one of the best. And it was because of the fact that I was focused on getting good at it, but at the same time, I shared what I did. Now, if you followed me like a couple years ago, you would have seen that like all my training in the past was solely on stuff like SEO, because it's what I did. I don't really do SEO now. Now my focus is on like social media marketing and paid traffic. I still do the free stuff like YouTube and blogging and whatnot, but my focus then was like SEO. And so all I did is I learned this stuff and I shared it. I learned it and I shared it. And then that's how you become the expert in it. Now, this one's crucial too. This should be a never-ending process. You know, if you focus on getting better all the time, like you're always going to stay ahead of your competitors. You're always going to be valuable in the marketplace, and people are always going to want to buy your stuff. Now, you guys have probably heard me say this one before, right? You know, if you want to make the money, you got to do what successful people do to deserve to make the money. And that means you got to do this stuff. Like, it's not fun. I'll be honest. Like, tonight, once I get off this webinar, I'm going to be up for another probably 4 or 5 hours doing the stuff I need to do. It's not really what I want to do. To be honest, I'd rather go watch some Netflix right now or play some PlayStation. That would be pretty cool. But it's not really going to get the stuff done, right? It's not going to upgrade my skills. It's not going to get the things done I need to get done. And so if you want to have the money, if you want to have the house, if you want to have the cool stuff, if you want to, have the money to help your family, you got to deserve it, because nobody's going to give it to you. We're not entitled to anything. Now, I want to point out why I think it's so important about being a leader. And, this is something that, and I don't know why it disappeared. Okay, there it is. Before, I used to actually even have the quote right here with Seth Godin. I learned this from Seth, and he talked about why people attract to leaders. So basically, human beings can't help it. We need to belong. One of the most powerful of our survival mechanisms is to be part of a tribe, to contribute to and take from a group of like-minded people. We're drawn to leaders and their ideas, and we can't resist the rush of belonging. So do you guys understand now why I focus on building a tribe and why I focus on engaging a community? It's because we want to associate ourselves to someone or something bigger than us. So I learned the hard lesson on this when I listened to my mentor last year, and he said, Zach, let's kill the Psychologically Unemployable brand and let's create the Conversions Lab. Well, I didn't really want to do this, to be quite honest, but me being the coachable kind of person that I am, said, okay, I guess I'm going to go with that. And when I did it, my audience was not very happy because they followed me because of psychologically unemployable. They resonated with being psychologically unemployable. This is why now I refer to everyone as the unemployables. Like, people want to belong to a tribe. Nobody wants to be a conversion hacker. Maybe they do. I think it's boring and lame. So you want to think about this. This is why you want to be a leader, because when you're a leader, people will follow you. When you lead authentically, you stay humble, as John said earlier, and people can really see you're trying to help them. They will follow you. Now, this is not Seth, this is me. Leaders don't consume information. They take action on what they learn to gain personal experience. That's the key. So if you want to be a real leader, that means you got to learn, do, learn, do, learn, do. There's a concept I talk about all the time. It's called focusing on immersing yourself in your niche. And what I mean by this, example, like Sammy Nukes asked me a few days ago, he said, how do I get better at copywriting? I said, take a whole month and all you study is copywriting. That's it. Most people dabble. Like, they try to learn something and they dabble. So for you, let's say you decided, I'm going to be an Instagram badass this year, right? That means everything you do should be focused on Instagram this year. Ignore all the other good opportunities. Maybe Facebook or YouTube isn't for you. Maybe it is Instagram. So what you do is every week you block off time. We're going to talk about building the strategy at the end of this. Every week you block off time to study updates on Instagram. This is what I do for stuff like YouTube right now. Like for the last month, I've literally just been consuming every time I have spare minutes on all the updates on YouTube. And that's what I'm going to do every single week. Every single week, I'm going to look for the updates. Here's an example. And YouTube, I hate you. So you used to be able to download people's videos with like plugins. And literally, like today, they rolled out this update. So now, like, all the plugins got shut down and you can't download the video, which sucks because some of the videos that I wanted to model the pitches now, like, I just have to keep like playing the video over and I can't download it. So if you want to be good at a certain traffic source, you want to be good at something, right? You have to stay on top of it. You have to immerse yourself in that topic, and your desire should be to become the best with it. Now, I want to point out something, and this is where people, basically, they think they got to have all this fancy stuff. What's funny is I just ordered all this expensive camera equipment. It's still sitting on my desk, and I haven't used it yet. It's kind of stupid when I think about it. So what's funny is I have all this fancy video equipment, and the only time I use it is when I really need to shoot videos for like my sales funnels and whatnot. And so I use my iPhone all the time. So start simple and start just putting value out there. Like you see like Doug. Doug is one of my coaching students, and in the beginning, he didn't really have much of a base. Now we're working on being more strategic with what he does. But in the beginning, I told him just publish. Don't even worry about what you do, just publish. And the reason being is you got to develop your messaging. In the beginning, you're not very good. Like when I started the live streams at the beginning of the year before I took the break, like whenever I took the break in the summer, I did not want to do them. My coach tried to get me to do them for like forever, and I just didn't want a part of it. In fact, I made the excuse that live streams are for girls. Like anything I could come up with, I tried to avoid it, right? Because I didn't like the idea that like, okay, on a video, if I really mess up, I can like edit it out. But on live stream, like I'm live, so people can see like everything I do. And if I make a mistake, they can see it. And so when I did live stream, I come on my first live stream and I committed, all right, guys, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this for, I think originally I said like 5 days a week or something, like Monday through Friday. And then I did it for like 2 weeks, and then I committed to 7 days. And I did 7 days, like unless it was a holiday. And it's just now that I've got to the point where I'll only take Sundays off. I just started that last week. So start simple, start publishing and putting your value out there, and start building your audience. As you do that, you know, it's going to get more and more powerful for people. They're going to start really diving in. Now, create a simple funnel, step number 5. You know, you don't got to make things super complicated. You know, I showed you an example of it earlier. And Saturday or Sunday, as I said, I'm going to go over the funnels that I built for you guys. But keep things simple. Because if you try to start complicated, you got way more pieces of the puzzle to track. You have a lot more things that could go wrong. You don't really know what you're doing. And this is why, like, even these funnels, there's only about 5 days of the emails and the value lessons, and I'm going to add to them. And the reason being is, if I would have created a funnel that's like 20 emails long, like, that's stupid, because I may find out, like, on email 2, people drop off, and I got to fix that. So I start simple, and then I scale out. And then I keep adding more emails until the point that it just crushes sales. So you always start simple. Now, just in case some of you, and I know some of you are new, and you're new to the idea of sales funnels, so I don't want to assume everybody knows what this means. So the point of a sales funnel is to automate sales and get new subscribers every day of the week. I want you to think of a sales funnel as like it's the modern day sales process of what we used to have to do years ago. Like when I first started in offline marketing, that's how I made my first money. Kind of like what basically, you know, 𝐼𝐸𝐬𝐧 and Hannah do, is I had to literally go to people's offices and have one-to-one conversations to sell them, which sucks. And so what a sales funnel allows us to do online is to do that one-to-one process, but with like thousands of people. This is how you make that laptop money everybody talks about, where you make money while you sleep, right? Now, my funnel definition is different than what most people do. I don't believe a sales funnel is to do what it says, which is to sell. For me, first and foremost, it's to build goodwill, deliver value, and help someone, even if they don't buy. So the reason I do this is because I know for a fact that most people don't buy right away. And if I am so salesy in that sales funnel when they go through it that they just hate my guts by the time they get through like email number 5, like I literally have no other shot. So my goal is to overly deliver in value, so that way if they go through that funnel and they don't like buy, they at least have positive expectations from me. Positive expectations are like the most important thing to sales, because when they feel that they can trust you, when they like you, when they have positive expectations that like, hey, if I do spend money, this person will actually help me, they're going to keep opening your emails and you have more shots to sell them. And most people are going to take a while to sell them. Now, you ideally want it to be so damn good people want to share it. So it should be like informative enough that like if they had a friend that was trying to learn it and they were trying to do it, they would be like, hey man, you got to check out this. This is really good information. Now, my favorite type of funnel I build, it takes a little bit more time. The funnel I just recently built, it's actually more like a product launch funnel. It's a little bit more salesy, but I kind of mixed it with the value funnel where it's like lots of value and teaching and selling at the same time, which I'm going to teach you guys these differences inside of the training and whatnot and on these live webinars. But the value funnel is a lot more value up front with like soft sells. Now, to show you how effective this is and show you why you should keep things simple, John Lee Dumas has like a multi-million-dollar business, right? And his training is on stuff like how to podcast. And so all of his funnels, they're literally so simple. Free podcast course, free webinar course. It's not even really using direct response marketing. And like his funnels literally are like pure value. There's no, I mean, it's not heavy pitching. It's not really direct response. And so it doesn't have to be a lot of the stuff that a lot of people are teaching, where you have to be a master at copywriting in order to make this stuff work. Now, once again, you see example of Steve, but then this is the sequence that Jimbo always refers to as the chocolate sequence. And when he said that at first, I had to really think about it because I forgot like about the chocolate that I put in the email, that it's, it's the chocolate is what you want, but the cauliflower is what you really need. But basically, this was the response when I first discovered this whole value sequence and how well it works. And by the way, guys, this is the 3.5 hour case study I referred to, the 10K from a dead list. Like literally, I had like 7 or 10 pages. It was crazy of responses like this, just replying to me. And all I did is I said, hey, reply. I think Vin Liu is on here. I thought I seen him. So he was one of the ones that replied. So when I did this email, it was so powerful. Like just so you know, where you see 1 year of coaching for 26 cents a day, which basically, if you don't know, it comes out, it's like a $97 offer. I had no sales page through the whole launch, if you didn't know. I think I created an order form, I think at the end, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while. But I only allowed 100 people to buy, and I sold like 50 or 60 of them from just saying, hey, reply to me if you want the link, and I'll give you the PayPal link. It's crazy. I couldn't believe it myself when I did it, and I realized then the power of how like you gotta give value and trust up front. And I did this really just to prove to myself that you can break all the rules of what everybody teaches you have to do. And also I wanted to make it a case study to show like my members that like, look, you don't got to have this amazing marketing. You can keep things simple and it works really, really well. By the way, I give you all those emails and everything in that case study. So I want to go over basically how it works on the sales funnel. We're not going to go deep on sales funnels on this one because we got plenty of other webinars that we're going to do. And honestly, we'll just go deep in another webinar. So basically, you want to keep it simple, and a funnel, just so you know, like people always ask me this all the time, like what's the best way to do a funnel? What's the perfect funnel? And at the end of the day, like it can be anything. It literally can be anything. Let's see. Anshin says, I just noticed you've been sharing for almost 2 hours. That's longer than a graduate class. Talk about value. Yeah, and like, let's see, we got a few more slides to go, buddy. So I told you this group is like this group is my baby, and so I don't care if like I have to spend 4 hours every week answering your guys' questions, reviewing your work, whatever it be. This is like fun to me. So this is the stuff like the outside is like the marketing, and then in here is where I can actually help you transform and get the actual result that you want. So we stay here as long as it needs to be every week. Now, a sales funnel can be a combination of anything. It can be blog posts, it can be videos, it can be webinar replays. I know Ruth likes audios. It can be some audios. I've seen people do that. It really comes down to like however you want to do it. You can even just do it straight emails. My very first funnels were not all of the other stuff. It wasn't like, the fancy stuff I do now. Like if you look at the funnel I built for ClickFunnels and Mob now, like it's all high production. The video sales letter, the one video sales letter from Mob, I spent like 33 hours between shooting it and editing it. It was painful. Back then, I didn't do that stuff. I just did straight email and it works. So you can do fancy or you can do simple. I suggest to start with simple. Now, I like basically a small mini version, just like the free podcast course. In my opinion, that's probably one of the best stuff to do. I think it's one of the best stuff that you can create in the beginning because it teaches you the skill and it makes you feel proud of yourself that you basically did it. And then from there, you go on and learn how to do the more fancy ones like I do now. So when I start teaching you all this stuff, when we break down the webinars on the sales funnels, we're going to start really focusing on creating simple sales funnels. Like if you're leveraging my stuff, you have that funnel. But my goal is to teach you this stuff because I want you to be able, like by the end of this year, to produce your own funnels that just spit out cash and whatever you want to sell. Now, after you've created it, you got to make everything lead to this free course. Like email, even if you suck at it in the beginning, it's okay. Like it's everybody makes you focus on your weaknesses, but I want you to realize it's okay to suck. Like I sucked in the beginning, but we develop this skill as you go, right? The more you do it, the more repetition, like you're going to master this. It's okay to not be phenomenal. It's okay to be mediocre when you start. Now, here's the basic value funnel. This is like my favorite funnel. I'm actually creating a second version of this. Like when I actually launch my Top Earner Mentor webinar, it's going to be the value funnel. So the basic format is value, email 1, value, email 2, a light pitch. Now, you see the pitch, it's blue, and then there's the red is for hard pitch. So when I say pitch and the blue color, that's more like recommending it. So like you could say, hey, that's what I teach in this course, or that's why I recommend Mob. So that's the pitch. It's not really a pitch, it's more like a recommendation. Then the next day you go back into some more value content. Then the next day again, another recommendation or light pitch. And then the end is like the hard pitch. This is where like, look, this is why you need this. This is how it's going to change your life. And if you don't get it, honestly, you're pretty silly. This is where you get like straight up honest with them. You need this. I also usually add in another email. You'll see the format here in a minute. I call it a Q&A email. And that Q&A email is basically just to smash any and all objections that you can think of. And what's going to happen is you're going to keep modifying that Q&A email because people are going to basically keep asking you questions. Now, it can be any amount that you want. There's going to be plenty of people that want to do just a very, 5-day emails, right? Some of you guys that like to create this stuff may want to do 10 or 15. Like if you look at that 10-day case study, the 10K case study I talked about, right? I think it had like 20 emails. I think it had 20. But the reason I did that is because I hadn't engaged the list. So you're going to see me do this again. You're going to see me do this again here in about a week when I start emailing my list. So if you guys are still on it, you'll start seeing nothing but like some of my best stuff for the whole month. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch the first public version of Top Earner Mentor webinar and try for about 50,000. I don't know. I might be shooting off the fence, but that's the goal, right? Then I'm going to take it to cold traffic and run it for pure ads. So it can be a few emails. It can be longer emails. I personally suggest that you just do like 5 or 6 to start. Kind of like if you look at like what I did for these funnels for, Mob and ClickFunnels. I didn't make them super long. I made them all value lessons and video with a pitch, and then I'm going to add to them as we go. So here's the basic format if you want to do this. And guys, I'm going to give you these slides. So if you want to do this, I mean, you're welcome to screen cap it if you want, but you're going to have a recording, and I'm going to upload the slides so you can download them if you want that, like in a PDF. But email 1, you're going to always a lot of times see, and you guys will see for I think it's the ClickFunnels webinar. So Jimbo, you're going to love the Mob funnel because the Mob funnel starts out with the Bob email. If you remember the Bob email, the customer avatar, and then the ClickFunnels email starts out with help me help you. But usually I always start with help me help you. And it's really kind of a shock and all email where what I'm doing is calling out a lot of the stuff that I don't like in the industry. And I do that because most people try to avoid the elephant in the room. And I'm the kind of person I just want to throw it in your face right away and point it out. And then from there, then I start leading into the value. So what you're really doing in this email is you're also asking your customer what they struggle with. So in this email, I'm also telling them at the bottom that, ask for help. Ask for help. I'm assuming Daryl's been screen capping stuff or something. Sorry, buddy. So what you're going to do is just ask them to reply at the end of your email, so that way you can figure out, what do they struggle with? Is it traffic? Is it trying to figure out, what offer they should promote? What's the biggest issue that's holding them back? And this stuff is important. You want to be answering these people when they reply to you because, it's going to give you a lot of feedback about, what you need to change and how you build your funnel so that way it makes them buy your stuff. Now, the next one is 3 reasons why you need to XYZ. So basically, this is just like you're educating them on why they should be doing something. So example for this for me could be 3 reasons why you need to build a list if you want your business to survive. So using any kind of shock and all, just any kind of copywriting headlines you'll fail if you don't do this. So guys, I want you guys now to pay attention to how I do my headlines for the live streams. You notice I always say this is the one skill you need if you're going to succeed. This is the one thing you want to avoid if you don't want to fail in your business. It's always shock and all stuff that it's people what am I missing? So it's a little bit of clickbait, but it also gets the open, which from then you take them in and you teach them. The next one's a how-to tutorial or training. And so this one, there's really, the first ones aren't really any pitches. They're kind of warming people up and its value. Then number 4, the 6 common myths about XYZ. Basically here you want to break down their beliefs and rebuild them. And then you can also do a light soft pitch. So another thing I want to point out really quick, you can play around with this. Don't think this format is the exact thing you have to do. If you want to put a pitch in every single email and you just want to link to your product, it's fine. Just deliver a bunch of value, then make it really light pitches. Save the hard pitches towards the end. Number 5, 3 common mistakes. So you notice all this stuff. You're trying to point out flaws or things that are not right in the industry, things people think, because a lot of people already are skeptical, and you got to rebuild their belief systems to make them think what you want them to think. Now, number 6, once again, a how-to tutorial or training, and then, of course, that can be anything, and then a soft pitch. Number 7, so this one I really, really like, and I do it sometimes, but sometimes I don't, and it's what's holding you back? And this email has no pitch in it, literally. All you want them to do is respond to you. So you could ask them hey, what do you feel is stopping you from getting the result you want? Or what do you feel is is stopping you from actually joining. Why haven't you joined? You can do it either way you want, but this email is really powerful. Usually a lot of people will reply and they'll give you helpful feedback to fix your product, to fix your pitch. It's going to tell you a lot. Number 8, and take care, Todd, answers to your questions. So this is like one of the most powerful emails in the funnel. It's the Q&A email I talked about, and I always use the title, Answers to Your Questions, Open Up. And the reason I do that is because people are going to think, like, what do you mean answers to my questions? So in this one, I like to use testimonials if I have them. And I also like to basically, if I don't have testimonials, then I'll leverage, I'll try to find testimonials of the product I'm promoting. But I basically want to break down people's beliefs of things that are holding them back. So that's why this email right here, number 7, whoa, I moved it. That's why email number 7 is important, what's holding you back, because then you can change it and put the questions in this email. So when I start out with funnels and I do the Q&A, I don't actually know like what the questions are. Does that make sense? I have to guess. So even in this ClickFunnels funnel and the MOB funnel, I don't know all the objections we're going to find, so I had to kind of think of some. And then what I'm going to do is as people start replying, I'm going to keep adding those and making it better. And so what you do then is you say, hey, people ask this, and then you give them the answer. And people want to know about this, and then you give them the answer. And then, of course, you also want to do a hard pitch at the end. So usually at the end, I'll say something like, hey, here's the link. I'm tired of writing. I know you'll do the right thing. Click right there, and I'll see you on the inside. Something like that. Now, where it moved. Okay. So let's go over the basic overview we just talked about, because I know some people are going to think, well, I don't have testimonials. What do I do about that? So here's the thing. If you don't have testimonials, you want to basically try to show the big benefits if possible. Now, how you do this is if you don't have, like your own testimonials, you leverage testimonials from the product. So what I like to do is either talk about the benefits of what the product can do for them, and if I can find a testimonial to back up that benefit, even better. But an example of that is basically I could say by switching to the high-protein diet and lifting weights, I was able to lose 15 pounds more than when I was doing the low-carb diet and just doing cardio. And this would be a great example because a lot of people think like when you lose weight, the key is just to go get on the treadmill, right? And then they hit a peak. So you can do it with just facts, or you can borrow content or borrow testimonials. Now, keep in mind, as I said, 7 to 10 emails, but if you want to add more, it's all up to you. Like you can play with it. And this is what I try to tell all of you guys when you build funnels. Like it's never going to be perfect when you start. You may take away some emails. Like you may find that some of the emails they don't get traction. Nobody wants to open them up. Nobody responds to them. Or you may want to add more. Like for instance, me, I usually like to start with like 5 to 10 max, and then from there I start scaling it out if I want to. But I don't really like the concept where people like build 30-day email follow-up sequences and they don't even know if it's going to convert yet. Now, the most important thing is to always focus on your customers' pain points and their desired outcome. If you guys have ever seen me use that analogy, people are at point A, which is basically their hell, and they want to get to point B, which is their heaven. So what you need to do is focus on their pain, because pain is a more powerful outcome or a more powerful desire than pleasure. Like if you think about it, if you are in debt and you want to get out of debt, is that more powerful than probably becoming a millionaire? I would tend to say yes, because I was in debt and I just wanted to do anything I could to get out of debt. And everybody wants to be a millionaire, but if that was the case, then people would do what it takes to become the millionaire, right? So focus on the pain points that your people have in the niche, and all your content should do is to help them see how you can help them move a little bit closer to their goal. And what you got to realize is that most people think their content needs to be revolutionary, but it really doesn't. Like if what you're creating in your sequence can help them see that they can just move a little bit closer to their desired goal, like they're going to love you and they're probably going to most likely buy. Now, we're getting towards the end. We're going to jump into the strategy session here in a minute. But you got to have a deep funnel. You absolutely have to have a deep funnel. So we talked about the high ticket stuff, but before, I'll be honest, I only focused on high ticket, and now you'll see that's why I have like my own high ticket offer. I have MOB, and then I also have reoccurring, which was missing from my repertoire, right? And the reason the reoccurring is important that I didn't really realize before is it's predictable income. So the low ticket product is really just to qualify a buyer. Like I would never promote a business with just low ticket. The low ticket is important just to get the person to buy. Then you need the mid and high ticket to send people up to make your real profits. So if you listen to what I told you about how I'm going to build a big list and how I'm going to scale my business, I have the low ticket to bring them in, and then from there I started sending them to the high ticket products. But the back end is also this, the reoccurring. And for me, that's ClickFunnels. So over the course of the year, the goal is to build up this and this. And when I do that, I have big ticket influx, big income influx every single month. But then every single month, I'm stacking that reoccurring income, which builds predictability. And then say, for instance, I have a low month with I don't get as many high ticket sales, right? I don't care because I have this. So a perfect business model has all three. They have low, mid, high ticket. I guess that's actually 4, and your reoccurring products. Now, to show you this and how powerful it is, you can see it right here, right? If you sold a $200 product, in order to make $1 million, you need to sell 5,000 people. That is not an easy task. If you moved it up 1 step or 2 steps and you sold a $1,000 product, you just need 1,000 people. So even if you're not trying to make $1 million in a year, if you just want to make $1 million online, selling more expensive stuff is going to get you there way quicker. And the more high ticket is, the even easier. So you see here, if you're selling $4,000 things, you just need 250 people. Same thing for reoccurring. Now, with reoccurring, this is the thing about with reoccurring. Personally, I like the price points of around $97 a month, and I like software. That's why I'm promoting ClickFunnels, because software is something that people need, and they can't really cancel. On a membership site, $97 a month, I think even then, people are going to look at that bill every month and be like, do I really use this? But for me, all my $97 softwares I have, there's no way I'm canceling that stuff. I need it. So if I cancel it, I'm in trouble. So therefore I don't. Now, with that being said, if you had, say, something like right here, a $333 a month program, that could be like a coaching program. That's a little bit different. If you had a group coaching program where you're delivering high-end results and you're dealing with a more serious crowd, that could definitely do it. And like Ruth said, people like exclusivity. All right, so this is the bread and butter, right? We finally got to the end. Thank God my voice is starting to tap out. It's step 7, which is the creating your strategy, right? So this is the important part of all the stuff we talked about. The other stuff is the mechanics, it's the ingredients. But without this strategy, all that stuff doesn't really do you much. Selling high ticket things sounds cool in theory. Building a list sounds cool in theory. Without a real strategy to make all this stuff happen, it's just not going to work. So here's the thing. As we talked about before, a strategy is a system you follow daily without thinking. And this is why probably if a lot of you haven't actually taken much action, it's probably because you didn't have a strategy. So therefore you didn't really believe that what you're doing is even going to get you where you're going to go or where you want to go. So therefore you don't do it. A strategy is also something that prevents you from wasting time. So if you listen to me, I don't mess with social media a lot. When I get on social media, it's very strategic. For any of you guys that have, asked me questions via Messenger, you notice that I probably pop in at random times. And if you message me say midday, you may not hear from me until the end of the night, if not the next day. If you get your questions in early in the morning, now I'm probably going to get a question a lot in the morning. Basically at that point, I'm on early in the morning, so therefore I answer more questions. I really only answer in the mornings and late at night. And so this is where you got to be strategic with everything you do. Now, a strategy also answers the question of what do I do? So if you ever go and you basically sit down at your computer and you're like, okay, maybe I'll do this today or maybe I'll do that, that's a horrible business strategy. The other thing, which is the most important, is it can be tracked, it can be measured, and it can be tweaked. Everything you do, you should be able to track. If you guys have seen me on the webinar or the live stream in the PU group where I have a link to every single live stream I've did. I have a link to every single piece of content I've did. So I can measure. I can measure by the engagement. I can measure by the comments. An example of this is right now, 375 comments have been made on this live stream. That's pretty crazy. And so I have links to every single thing I've did, and I can measure it. I can track it. I can decide, was that a good one? Was it a bad one? Does it need improved? And a strategy is like a GPS. It always keeps you on track. Have you guys ever heard the analogy with an airplane about how it gets off track a ton of times on the way there? An airplane never has a straight shot, even with the GPS. What happens is it gets off track and the GPS brings it back on track. It gets off track again, the GPS brings it back on track. This is what a strategy is. Even if you get a little off center in 2018, it's okay. As long as you get back to your strategy, everything will work out. Now, moving on along. So as you can see, I plan out everything like to a T. I'm like super, super strict when it comes to this stuff, right? And you can see like right here, this is my workout plan. So like on the one side, it's actually like the things that I eat. And then the other thing is like the workouts that I do. So I don't like go to the gym, like just like, okay, maybe I'll do this machine, maybe I'll do that machine. I even know like how much weight I'm going to lift. I track how much weight I lift. So every single week, like I know like, okay, let's try to bump it up at least 5 pounds. That's how I make improvements. I know what weight I lifted. I know if I didn't get to the full amount of reps on the food, I know what I eat at what times I eat to go one step closer. Now for you guys can do this however you want. I love Google Docs. Like Google Docs is my jam. So at every hour of the day, and this is an old one. I didn't update this, guys. The webinar is like on par. I just tweaked what I needed to tweak. But this was from last year, right? And so at every single block of time, I know what I'm doing. This is how your business should be ran, especially if you have a job. Like you should never sit down and just say, okay, I'm gonna do some videos on Tuesday. What time are you gonna do those videos? What videos are you gonna do? Like I literally have spreadsheets in Google Doc for like videos I've collected that I want to reverse engineer, and I know exactly what I'm gonna do, and I color code all this stuff, like every single thing, and I know what I'm gonna do. And then when say like for instance like back then it was like work on 997 course. Once that's done, I replace it with something else. Now, with that being said, after you get to a certain point in your business, you can eliminate a lot of this stuff. Like if you just want to work 2-3 hours a day, that's fine. You can get to that point, but it's by discipline. Now, here's how it works. I do not work in just like freely, right? I don't work over the course of a year, and here's why. If you think of like a year goal, it's very scary. Like it's a lot. Like, can you imagine like last year, like time went by somewhat fast, at least for me it did, but like it was a lot of time when I really think about it. A year of your life is a lot of time. So for me, I operate in 90-day sprints. This is why if you guys seen me post on the 1st, I said in the next 30 days of your life is going to make all the difference of how well you do the rest of the year. Because what happens is if you don't start strong and you don't take this seriously for the next 30 days, the next 90 days, you're going to fall off your goals and then you're probably going to be off doing something else within 90 days. Like I'm going to be able to see who's serious in this group based on the people that consistently show up, the people that are consistently in the group asking questions, the people that are consistently posting the things they're doing, their progress. And then other people are just they're going to go do something else. And that's not what I want for you. You got to focus on 90 days. And then what happens is, here's how I do things. I look at the first 90 days as like laying the groundwork. So if you're brand new, you should not be expecting to be like a millionaire within 90 days, right? You're learning the basics. But then the next 90 days after that, that's when you like go all out because now you know what you're doing. And that's when you focus on really creating profit and building momentum. The first 90 days is building the basic momentum of learning the skills. The next 90 days is focused on income, like actually putting money in your bank. Now, here's how we do it. We create 2-week benchmarks, which we call milestones. So these are like things we want to achieve. And we track those and make sure we're on track to hit our outcome goal for 90-day goal. So how that works is when you break things down to every 2 weeks, those 2 weeks matter because if you want to basically be on track for your 3-month goal, right, you got to make every month count. But to bring it down one step, you got to make sure every 2 weeks count. So an example for me, right, I could be like saying that I want to get so many leads within 2 weeks. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down little things in between those 2 weeks that I got to do in order to lead to this. Now, I'm going over the basics of how this works. I have additional training, which I've actually taken it out of Top Earner Mentor, but I'm going to upload it into this Facebook group, which gives you the framework of how you map this out in detail, as well as like cheat sheets to do all this. And I'm also going to talk about vision here in a minute, which you get that as well. So for anybody asking me why it's not in there anymore, I took it down just because I don't want extra modules in there just for the heck of it. I'm going to put it in this group if you want to go through it. Now, as we talked about, you got to map out every hour you'll work and when you'll do it and what you're doing. So you can't sit down and just wing it. You got to know what you're doing, when you're going to do it, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. The most important part is you want to set up fail-safes to make sure you don't get off track. And what do I mean by fail-safes? I mean basically like if for instance you say work a very busy job, what I would do is the night before, I would literally prepare all your work so it's ready to go. And what I mean by that, say for instance you know what content you're going to create, right? I would have a spreadsheet, like the window would be up on my computer with what content I need to create. I would make sure my cameras are all out, so I don't need to set things up. I'd make sure, my checklist is there, so that way I can mark off the things I do. Whatever it is that you need to do, don't waste time. So when you sit down and you have to organize everything, have things prepared, because it's so easy when it's not. An example of this, and I know, is a diet. If you don't have your food ahead of time, ready to go, and I don't mean you got to prep it necessarily, but if you didn't go to the grocery ahead of time and you're kind of like one of the people, I'll just buy it on my way home, it's very easy to eat the stuff that you really want, right? So for me, I always make sure I have the fresh food ready to go, because if not, I'm going to automatically default to the other way. Now, map out your income producing activities and your vision. So this goes along with the sheets. I said I'm going to give you all that stuff, but basically you need to create a vision for why you're doing what you're doing. And if you don't know what you want, trust me, you're going to quit when it gets hard. So a vision is not your why. A lot of people get into this what's your why, or have a why that makes you cry. And a lot of people say very generic stuff I want to help my family, or I want to get out of my job, or whatever, but they don't really have a vision. And for me, a vision is something that's not just something you want. It's where you want your life to be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. When you can really map out what your dream life is, what it looks like in detail, what you care about, you don't get pulled off in all these directions. This is why people buy all these money-making programs without really thinking about, is it where they want to go? It's because they don't have a vision. And as Jordan Belfort will tell you, when you don't have a vision, somebody will sell you theirs. So if you guys listen to me all the time, I'm always talking about where I'm going, what I'm going to do. That is my vision. And so when you learn about how to map out your vision, this helps you be a better leader, because people like to get behind things, and they like to get behind people's vision. Now, you need to define what the payoff is for basically doing it. And the payoff is what's the big reward? If, for instance, you do all the painful stuff that you need to do in business in order to get there, say do, 300 videos this year, right? What's the payoff? What's that going to do for you? What's it going to lead you to do? When you really understand this, it helps a lot. Now, this is what I do as far as the fail-safe. I put it in multiple places to remind me and keep me on track. So I showed you how I literally I plaster everything. I have reminders set up on Google Docs, so it bings me. I know when I should be doing things. My phone's constantly going ding, ding all day long, and it's constantly keeping me on track. I have my goals on the whiteboard. So everything I need to complete is on the whiteboard to the left of my desk. I have a white pad of paper on my desk, literally the same thing written down. It's everywhere I turn. Everywhere I turn, I can't escape it. And so I can try to ignore it, but I'm just going to feel bad about myself later. Now, your accountability system. Now, there's a couple ways to do this. One is what I said about in Google Docs, right? I also use Evernote, so that's another one. But something that I don't have on here, if you don't know, we created the Accountability Father program, which basically, my dad's going to be checking in with you weekly when you post your goals to see what you're doing. Now, it's not his job to Facebook message you and call you and all that stuff, but the whole point is to hold yourself accountable to him, and as well as other members in the group. I really believe the people that do this are going to be the ones that are successful, because your average person has 0 people at home to hold them accountable. Their wife doesn't do it, or their husband doesn't do it. Now, if some of you guys have that, be thankful for that person, because very few people do. I know, because I talk to a lot of you. So that's why I want to create this group that's powerful, that we work together and we can help each other and hold each other accountable. Because when you guys create these goals, even between each other, and you guys become buddies, you can push each other. You can each call each other out on your shit when you don't do things. That is powerful. That is the difference between getting things done or making excuses and telling yourself, well, I'm tired, or, I have a headache, or whatever else you tell yourself, things that I've done in the past, right? But when you hold yourself accountable to someone, that person gives you some tough love, either you're going to quit, or you're going to be a person that's going to actually do it, because you don't want to tell the person you didn't do it. And that's the whole philosophy behind it. Now, here's how I do it. I basically create several things. Another thing I'm giving you is my affirmations template. Now, this is up to you. It comes down to if you do it. I don't really like talking about personal development a whole lot, just because it's all personal opinions, if you believe it or not. I like affirmations because I believe when you brainwash yourself, so to speak, it basically trains you that you are that successful person before you are. So one of the things I do is I create like my vision, and I have affirmations, and every single morning I put these on Evernote, and so I read out my goals. I'm going to show you that stuff here in a minute, but basically I read it out every single day, my affirmations, and basically the goals that I want to achieve in 2018. And this reminds me every single day that like I got to do this stuff. So I'm talking down to detail, like what I need to do every single day. I even have an affirmation about controlling my emotions. So one of the things I read out every single day is that using my emotions and getting upset is not going to help me. I got to think logical. And what I'm trying to do is train my brain to not think emotional. So here's an example, and I'm still working on this, right? The other day I woke up and I have a lifting belt for the gym that's like $120 so I don't hurt my back. Well, I left that at the gym and I let my emotions get out of check. I freaked out. And I literally like rushed to the gym. Like I was in a bad mood. I literally was like cussing, and I'm like, "Dog, you stupid!" And that ruined my whole morning, right? Because I let my emotions get out of check instead of just logically saying, "Hey, it wasn't the smartest thing, but I guess you're just gonna have to use that as a $120 lesson and order a new one." But instead, like 2 hours of my morning was like upset, and then like I had to like re-center myself in order to get back in the zone before I did my live stream. So all these little things, you have weaknesses, things that you don't do, that you do that you don't like. These can go in your affirmations to train yourself. Now, another thing I like to do is I journal every morning and every night to keep track of what I'm doing. And the reason I do this is because of the next step where I review on Sunday. Most people don't have a clue what they do on a day-to-day basis. Like if you get to Sunday and you try to ask yourself like what you did or didn't do, you have to really think about it. So for me, I write down like, okay, I wasted time on this, I fell short on this, I should have did that. And then this reminds me of the things that I gotta improve on. So then on Sunday, when I sit down, I basically say, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? And what can I improve? And that's exactly why I journal. So I let myself know when I make mistakes. I let myself know when I do things right. And I let myself know where I'm a little bit weak and I need to improve. This is going back to like what successful people do. This is not something that I made up, right? This is stuff I bought like several productivity courses and how do you manage yourself. I've studied this from some successful people like Tony Robbins. This is stuff that like really, really successful people do. They really track everything they do and they're constantly focused on getting better. Now, as I said, I would suggest to get an accountability partner. I see some of you guys that are still on here throwing in the comment box that you already have some people. Seems like Sammy is a popular guy. He's just getting around. Dirty little guy himself. So with that being said, if you don't have an accountability partner, you want one, I'm sure if you post in the group, there'll be people that are also open to looking for one too. So I would see if anybody's open to it. It's really good to have people that are like-minded, people that are on the same mission, that you can hold yourself accountable to, ask for tips. It comes really, really helpful. Now, another thing I want to really show you, I have two types of journals. The one journal is on the right side. So this is like, you see I have morning and night. It's really ugly writing, I know. But basically, I write the morning and night stuff, right? But I also have a secondary journal, the one that says some people dream of success while others wake up and work hard for it. That journal is for me to keep my brain fresh and clear. And so what a lot of us do, and I'm sure you do exactly the same thing I do, is like we overwork our brain by constantly thinking of all kinds of ideas like, man, maybe I should do this. Maybe this is a good idea. Maybe I should do that. And so if I don't write that stuff down, like I literally I just can't focus. Like I can't do the things I need to do. I can't focus on my income producing activities. Like all I do is I literally focus on those ideas, and it's things that like I shouldn't be doing right now, right? So what I do is I write those things down and I come to them later. I learned this from the book Straight Line Leadership that I always talk about, and it says you need to write down your list of everything you want to do. Now, move everything that you don't plan on actually doing what it takes right now to the other list. So basically, you get the stuff out of your head and you can come back to it later, but you only focus on the things that you're committed to doing right now. Now, here's your accountability system once again. I'm going over it again. We're almost done, guys. Is Google Docs. So if you don't have an accountability partner, I honestly believe this is the best way to manage yourself. You can set up reminders on your phone. You can set up reminders to email you in your inbox. It's literally how I run my day. Like if I didn't have this, I would be a complete train wreck. Now, here's something else I suggest you get. I love this thing. It's what I map out my schedule on. So as I said, I make it so I can't escape my goals. Like I have to like have them staring me in my face. So I know you probably can't see this, because especially if you guys are on your mobile. But like I have checkbox next to every single thing that I do. So how it would work is like right here. Say for instance, I have gym time, weekly plan review, and then the other one I think is study sales courses. So I would move those check boxes to that day for Sunday, right? And I get a green check when I do the thing, and I get a red X when I don't do it. If you've ever heard me talk about the Jerry Seinfeld method, I talk about a lot. This is the Jerry Seinfeld method. So basically what I do is I don't break the chain. That's my goal. I want to try to get checks every single day. So in Jerry Seinfeld method, you basically put a red mark in every single calendar day, right? So you don't break the chain. Every X connects each other. For me, I basically, break it up. I make checks that are green, meaning I did the job. So it's kind of like when you're in school and you get the sticker and you feel good about yourself. And then the red X is like to tell me, okay, you failed today. It's not to make yourself feel bad, but it's to make yourself realize, okay, I got to improve. Why this is also important is because then when I look back on Sunday, it's literally right in front of my face besides my journal entries of what I need to improve on each week. This is how I improve every single week. Now, here is my goals. As you can see those sexy abs right there, that's the guy I want to look like. He's got my body type. So these are basically like my goals, as I said, I take and put in Evernote. And what I'm going to do probably tomorrow or maybe tonight, we'll see. I'll upload the links for you for the templates and whatnot. But basically, I map it out like business goals, personal goals, overall goals for the whole year. So you can see like right here, I have basically I want to make $100,000 a month consistently by March 2018. That is the goal. It may go a little bit over that, but at least I have a benchmark for what I'm shooting at. And then I want to make $250,000 a month consistently by the end of the year. So that's the goals I'm shooting for, right? Then I have like, for instance, this is business goals for the whole year. And then I have learn copywriting. So master copy for both email and sales copy. Blog or vlog 7 times a week. Master my webinar pitch. So basically doing it every single week. Master paid traffic. Get the $1 million MOB ring. Get the ClickFunnels 2,Club award. And then I basically want to be one of the top 5 ClickFunnels affiliates. And then I also want to improve my video editing chops. So these are like my year goals, right? And then what I do is I break this down even more in detail, like how I'm going to do it. So I have the year goals, but then I go in deeper detail so that way I know, for example, like everything I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and what I need to do every single day in order to do that. So this is what I do. I read this stuff every single day to brainwash myself to stay focused on the goal. Woo, that was a mouthful. So if you guys have any questions that I didn't catch because I wanted to get through this because I knew it was going to be a bit of a doozy, throw them out now and I'll answer them. Ideally, our weekly webinars, I'm going to try to keep them to about an hour, hour and a half, but this first one, we needed to really lay the groundwork. Let's see here. Any questions, guys, on anything that I didn't cover? I can go back to the slides if I missed one of your questions because the comments were going crazy. Yeah, it was a lot of info, Daryl, but most of the stuff you're gonna see, like it's gonna be a lot in the beginning, but as you put focus on learning it, you'll be able to be able to master it. So what I would suggest is to review some of the stuff on the replays when you can. Let's see. Only 2.5 hours, Zach. Come on, week. No questions. This was quite informative. All right. All right. So I'll tell you what, guys. If for some reason you guys think of any questions, just throw them, in this thread. I think what I'm going to do probably is I'm going to leave up like the replays probably for like a couple days after I do them, and I'm going to take them down and then probably just put the replays inside the membership site. I may change that. I may just organize these in the group. I don't know. If you guys like them in the group too, then I'll keep them there, I guess. But if you have any other questions, throw it in the chat box. It was good spending time with you, and I'll see you next week.